لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك.
They do not accept anything less than a $100 bill. So if you go to a money exchange and you have anything less than a $100 bill, they send you back. The $100 bill has to be the new bills, not the old bills, with the larger face. With that being said, you do not need to take any money, to be honest, because everywhere nowadays they have Apple Pay, they have Samsung Pay, all that good stuff. There are ATMs everywhere. Back in the days, I used to take a good amount of money cash. Just to be safe, I would say $500 cash per person is a decent amount that you want to take. Right? And this includes any type of getting a taxi, some food, anything that you need to purchase, some supplies that you may have forgot. I think $500 is a decent amount that you can take with you. Spiritual supplies, Ihram. Now, I'll talk about this later on. If you are going to Makkah first, then your Ihram, you have to take it from America. You cannot take your Ihram from Saudi Arabia. So that's if you are going to Jeddah first. That also includes that Ihram must be packed in your hand luggage. Do not pack it in your check-in. I know so many people that took the Ihram, they put it in their luggage, and now you get it in Jeddah. So make sure that your Ihram is in your hand luggage, right? Ihram, I'll touch a little bit about, we'll get to it later on. This includes a headscarf for women, some sort of notebook. You have a notebook in front of you, inshallah, you took a notebook. The reason why I try to get the brown notebooks is that you can take this with you. These might be a little bit more difficult. This should be everything that you write down for Hajj, which includes your du'as, which includes any type of question and answer that we go through, anything that you need to remember. Make sure you have in there that you have some pens that you can write with, your dua books, apps that you may need, PDFs that you may need. Again, we'll be sharing some PDFs later on. Sheikh Salah yesterday in his khutbah, he mentioned that when you're traveling, make sure you take a travel prayer mat. Right? If you're not packing, if you forget to pack a travel prayer mat, that says a lot. You're going to worship, make sure you take some sort of travel prayer mat with you. A small Quran. We usually have Qurans on our phones. I suggest that you try not to use your phone. Why? Because a notification pops up and you're completely distracted. Take an actual Quran that you're reading throughout Hajj. A Tawaf counter. Tawaf counter, basically what I do is I have my kids make it. They take a piece of yarn, they put 7 beads on it, tie one side, they put a key ring on the other side. You keep this on your finger, and as you're going through Tawaf, you move one bead at once. You can possibly use an app and just write number 1, 2, 3, 4. But once again, I prefer that you not use your phone as much as possible. Hajj garments, we'll talk about garments later on. Clothing, flip-flops. I will talk about which flip-flops are allowed in Ihram later on. You want to also have a second pair of shoes. And this will be, usually I say take a pair of walking shoes, tennis shoes. There's a lot of walking, and we'll talk about the walking later on, how much I've calculated it, and we have it on the slide that you will be walking a lot. So make sure you, outside of Ihram, we'll talk about how much time you will be in the state of Ihram, but there will be a lot of time that you'll be outside the state of Ihram. You want to make sure that you have some sort of comfortable shoes. Undergarments, of course, a passport holder. When I go to Hajj, I have a lanyard that goes around my neck, and it's a pouch right here. In that, I can put my passport, I can put my phone, I can put my ID, I can put money. That comes very, very handy. I don't need any pockets. And we'll talk about this, the downside of having pockets. Unfortunately, people go there for the wrong intentions, and a lot of stuff happens that should not happen. If you have money in your pocket, sometimes someone may pick your pocket. They may be in a dire circumstance because of which they're having to do this. I like to keep my money right here. That way I'm not stuck in a situation. Having some sort of belt, if you have an Ihram belt, that's always a good thing. You can have like a fanny pack, something that can just carry your phone.
Do you prefer question while you're talking, or people write down question and do it in Q&A? I think Q&A is better, right?
Q&A would be better, but then we will be stuck with a lot of questions. Inshallah, we'll do Q&A, inshallah.
Yeah, I have one question is that should we leave passport at the hotel in the safe or keep it with us while go to Mina and Muzdalifah?
Most likely, I haven't been Hajj in 4 years now, but most likely you do not get your passport while in Hajj. They take your passport once you get to Jeddah, and once you get to the airport, and they are giving back. Though, if they keep it, if they're like before, then they keep it until you leave. They do not let you hold your passport. They're very, even in the movement from Medina to Makkah, they will hold on to your passports. If not, do not keep your passport with you. Each of the rooms have a locker in them. Use that locker, lock away your passport, lock away any extra money. It's not safe. I've seen so many people that had it on them, they lost it, and our first question is why? Why did you have it on you? The only reason that you may need to have it on you is if you need a SIM card. If you have T-Mobile, then you don't have to worry. T-Mobile has free international plans. With internet, you don't need a Saudi SIM card. If you have AT&T, it's $10 a day with a max of 10 days. So it's $100 for the whole trip. But if you would like to get a Saudi SIM card, there are a bunch of different brands, Mobily, different names. They're all the same. They all have some sort of internet package. For that, you will need your passport copy, not necessarily your passport. A passport copy will be sufficient. I would also recommend that you download the apps, the Nusuk app that they require. Again, you will need to book your Rosa time. You will need to book your Umrah on there. Those are the two main things. Most likely, Umrah you don't need. Rosa is the one place that you need. Rosa is visiting the Prophet ﷺ. For men, it'll be different. For women, it'll be different. Before Hajj, the way they had it is they open the time slots on Fridays. For the next week, they open on Friday, and you have to the way you did Nusuk, same way. You have to sit there and click, refresh, and get your spot. Especially for the women, it's very difficult to get a spot. But we'll talk about this some more later on. Some regular clothes, comfortable clothes that you can wear on a day-to-day basis. For men, I would honestly say take 1 or 2 pairs of clothes and then just purchase it from there. Thobes are relatively cheap. Everybody's going to be wearing it. So just purchase from there. Some pajamas that you can wear, stuff like that. Hygiene, nail clippers, instead of nail clippers, scissors, especially for the women to exit the state of Ihram, some sunscreen. Again, a lot of the time you will be out in the sun, so an unscented sunscreen, of course, a razor, shaving cream, travel Febreze. This is approach it. Make sure you take a travel Febreze. Go to Walmart or anywhere that have the travel section. It costs like $1. It's a lifesaver. Put it in the restroom. You can understand. Sanitary item for women, deodorant, Vaseline. Vaseline is very important, and on there I also have anti-shaving cream. Anti-shaving cream for men is a must. Anti-shaving cream, Vaseline is a must because you will not be wearing undergarments, and there's a lot of walking that you will have. Your thighs will rub against each other, and what ends up happening, the skin burns away, and then it's extremely, extremely painful. So make sure, especially if you are in the Mu'aysim camps. If you're in the Mu'aysim camps, your walk to Jamarat will be roughly an hour and a half. And without undergarments, your thighs will hurt a lot. So make sure you get anti-shaving cream and Vaseline is a must. Right? I can't emphasize this enough. Hand gel, hand wipes, flushable toilet wipes, shampoo, all of this, of course, has to be unscented. You can take scented as well. Most likely the hotels will provide all of these things. But if you have a moving package, so there's this year they have moving and non-moving. Moving is you will go to Azizia. If you have Azizia, it's a huge plus. A lot of people think Azizia is bad. Azizia is not bad. Azizia is really good, and I'll explain why. If you have a non-moving package, that means you will not have Azizia. In the days of Hajj, you will have a hotel in Makkah, and in the days of Hajj, you will be staying full-time in your tents, right? But in the hotels in Medina and Makkah, there will be shampoo, there will be all the toiletries that you need. but in Azizia, you will not have those toiletries. In the days of Hajj, you will not have the toiletries, so make sure you take those toiletries. Scented and unscented, scented when you're outside the state of Ihram, and unscented when you are in the state of Ihram. Tissue packets, again, these are always good. You will, unfortunately, most likely get sick. A cough, a cold is very common. Some Ziploc bags for small things that you need to take with you. Diarrhea medication, constipation medication, different types of bandages. A Z-Pack, if you can take a Z-Pack, talk to a doctor, if they can prescribe you a Z-Pack, it's always good. Antibacterial, you end up catching the flu there. Unscented disinfectant cream, cough drops, cold and flu tablets, any regular medication that you are already taking, any other medication for fevers, for allergies. If you have some sort of allergies, make sure you take some Benadryl, whatever, if there's EpiPen that you use, make sure you take that. Hydration tablets. Noon is a company that has non-sugar hydration tablets. You want to take a lot of these. Gatorade, a lot of these. They have Propel, a lot of these. You will sweat a lot. I talk to doctors that go to Hajj and I ask them, what's the number one reason why people come to see you? And they say it's because of lack of hydration. So every bottle of water that you have that's not Zamzam, drop a Propel in there. Drop a Noon tablet in there. It will give you the hydration that you need. Of course, there's energy tablets as well that you get, like chews that have Gatorade in there too. So I would recommend that. Zamzam, you enjoy Zamzam Pani as it is.
No, I know. You can add that also.
You can add it in Zamzam, but Zamzam has the benefit already. So, yes.
Some people say that if you are going to Medina first, we can buy unscented stuff there, and it's not necessary to take it from here. We can just buy it from Medina. So they have a lot of shops there. So is that true?
I don't recall unscented stuff there.
Wallah, Sheikh, from my experience, the less you can carry from here, the better. If you go Medina first, then it's a plus, as Sheikh Mubeen said. When I went there, Bin Dawood has everything you can imagine, you can think of. It's not like you're gonna go there. Saudis, mashallah, is more advanced now. So you go Bin Dawood, you will find everything. So don't burden yourself, I would say. Allahu Alam. I think I got actually unscented over there. One of the pharmacies you will find. Even the medication. There's some medication you can only get from the US, but majority of the medications over there. Inshallah.
So, yes.
Yeah.
And it's best. The reason why, and Sheikh Salah, absolutely right, you want to travel light, but the reason why I have this list is so that once you're there, you don't have people running around looking for these things. It's best that you already have it. I have my own opinion on unscented. It's permissible. I tell people not to use it. Why? Because you're there for a reason, to show Allah that you are in the state that you're unkept. That's the whole purpose of it. Toothpaste, during Ihram, you can't use toothpaste. You would use miswak, right? But once again, anything unscented, I don't take it. When we calculate how much time you're going to be in the state of Ihram, it's maybe 3 days. Maybe. I'll break that down for you as well. For these 3 days, you show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm kept, I'm unkept, I'm doing this for you. Here in America, we take care of ourselves, we take care of our hygiene, but this is the only reason why we're doing it, is for the sake of Allah. Make sure you take some snacks, right? Yes, you can get snacks from there, but it's good to take some snacks. I would say trail mix, something that's healthy, something that can give you energy when you're in the tent. Now, in the tent, most likely you will get food. If you're in Mu'asim, your food may be like small packages. If you're in Al-Qabsh, you'll get like the whole buffets. Do not rely on that.
Anyone will build Maisam? You will Maisam? You're gonna build Maisam?
Okay. So Mu'asim is a little bit far. Al-Qabsh is closer. Al-Qabsh usually they have like buffets. Now, and we'll talk about this later on when we get there. Make sure you take some snacks.
Is it how much you pay?
It's no longer.
Package,
It used to be how much you pay. Now it's the Al-Qabsh. They cut the limit. They limit the spaces. So once that's full, they send everybody to Al-Moist.
Wallah, sister, I was in Maisam. Basically, if you are from Masakin and Fuqara, they send you to Maisam. I was one of the Masakin. So I got the real experience. It's far. It's about an hour and a half walking to the Jamarat. Inshallah, you'll be inshallah. Sheikh Mubeen was from Magnia.
One quick clarification on toothpaste. So they're unscented toothpaste. So toothpaste is just like flat, no? Or...
No, if it's unscented, then you can.
There's unscented.
If it's unscented, I don't know. Maybe there's miswak flavor, Allahu Alam. But again, miswak, just general miswak would be the best option.
So this brother suggested that we should also take hangers, because in Mina and bathrooms,
No hangers.
there are no hangers
You
to hang
can
things.
hang the,
So for the hangers, what I would recommend, we would take over the door hooks. So you put it over the door, and there's one hook. We usually take that. Can you get away without it? Yes, you can.
I think the best advice for, since we talked about men and all of that, don't eat too much, please. Honestly, the less you use the bathroom, the better.
And I'll inshallah talk about the food situation a little bit later. Drawstring bag for shoes. This is really important. And if you're going through Turkish Airlines gives you a drawstring bag, I know for sure. But other airlines, maybe not. I would highly recommend that you purchase this drawstring bag. Most likely, if you are traveling with a group, some of the groups will give a drawstring bag. I know Dar es Salaam does. I know Island Travel does. This is a bag that you pull, it closes. You need this for your shoes. If you leave your shoes anywhere in Saudi Arabia, you have high level of tawakkul on Allah. It most likely will not be there. So always put your bag in drawstring bags. Drawstring bag is important. You need to take a small backpack. This will be for the days of Hajj. When you're going to the days of Hajj, you will not be able to take your carry-on. You will not be able to take your check-in bag. You need a backpack for that. So a drawstring bag for whenever you're going around, a backpack for the days of Hajj, a suitcase to carry on, of course, that's obvious, some labels for your luggage. Now, for your luggage, what I recommend is have a unique identifier on your luggage. If your check-in bag is black, there will be a million or something other black bags as well. So make sure, what I do is I get the craziest color, a pink, green set of yarn, and tie it on my bag. That way it sticks out to me. Take a picture of your bag. That way, if it does get lost, without a Allah forbid, you can say, this is my bag. You can show the people at the airport so many times. Again, we've been doing this for a very long time. We had to go back to Jeddah. We had to go back to Medina airport, find these bags. If there's a picture, it helps out a lot. A small padlock with keys, a fan. A lot of times you get bottles that have a fan under that will have a mister. That's great. If not, some sort of fan. Even so, majority of the American Hajj is AC'd. And in Arafat, it's very common for they're not even AC, they're cold air blowers, right? So they have like a water component that blows this cold air. It's very likely that they break down. So having some sort of fan with you. Sunglasses, of course, would be very important. A towel, money belt, we talked about before. A water bottle that can collapse, that you can, you have the regular plastic water bottles, but just having another water bottle. A small blanket. This will come handy in Muzdalifah. I'll show you what Muzdalifah looks like. Some of the places will give a blanket in Muzdalifah. Other places will not. In Mina, you will get a blanket. You will get some bedding, but having a small blanket is always good. An umbrella, because of the heat. Earplugs. Please remember, you will now be sharing a tent with maybe 20, maybe 30 people. You will have people that snore. You yourself might be somebody that snores. So make sure you take earplugs. Eye cover, if you're tired and people are still awake, you want to have some sort of eye cover that can cover your eyes. Again, make sure you use that outside the Ihram. We'll talk about this later on. A mini pillow. Phone charger, extremely important. A battery pack, extremely important. Converter. A power strip that goes into not American plugs, but of course, international plugs, right? So make sure you have a power strip, especially if you have a CPAP machine that you need to plug in or something else that you need to plug in. In the tent, with 20, 25 people, there will possibly be four plugs, which everybody will try to charge their phone on. So if you have some sort of power strip that has, especially those that have the USB and USB-C that you can plug directly into there, that's what I take. I recommend that. We already talked about scissors before. Now, Medina to Munawwara. If you're going to Medina, like we said before, you do not need to take your ihram from here. You can. Some of the groups will give you your ihram in Medina, but you do not need to take your ihram from here. Before you go to Medina, I would highly recommend that you start listening to some sort of seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. That way, you start to connect with the Prophet ﷺ beforehand. Start sending durood on the Prophet ﷺ. In Medina, some of the sites that you want to go to visit, you want to visit Masjid Quba. Masjid Quba, nowadays, there's a nice walk. If you leave after Isha Salah, you can. They have a bunch of shops there. It's lighted up nicely. It's an easy walk, breeze. So you want to go there after Isha Salah. It takes a few hours and then taxi back.
Sheikh, it's called the Sunnah Walk. It's called the Sunnah Walk. So if you happen to be there on Saturday, the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ would be pray Fajr in Masjid Nabawi, and then walk all the way to Quba, and he prays there. This way you get the thawab of Umrah as well. It's paved, mashallah, it's very good. But if you happen to be there on Saturdays, otherwise, as Sheikh Mubeen said, after Isha will always be good. Nice walk.
Now there's Baqi, and Baqi is after COVID is very limited. Women have never been allowed to go inside the graveyard. As for men, in our last trip before Ramadan, they close off Baqi after every salah. Now, after every salah in Medina and after every salah in Makkah, there will be a janazah, most likely. Right? So make sure you know how to read janazah salah. After every salah, they will announce a janazah, most likely. And then in Medina, once they pray the janazah, they'll take the deceased to the graveyard, and you can follow in and get in, but then they close the door. Before, they would have the doors open, and you can walk around. But just going to Baqi, making dua for the people of the graveyard. Uhud is one of the sites to visit, and again, most of the package that will have some sort of ziyarah that will take you to Uhud. The role of the Prophet ﷺ, this is the view of the men. The men will get to go from the front, the women go from behind. From the front, this is the middle gate. There'll be a gate before this, which has nothing to do. There's this middle gate that you see right in front of you, and then you have a third gate. The third gate has nothing to do. Okay, so there'll be three gates like this. This middle gate is where you see the big circle right here. This is where the grave of the Prophet ﷺ is. After the grave of the Prophet ﷺ comes the grave of Abu Bakr, and after this comes the grave of Umar. Now, the way that they have it currently is to get there, you have to go all the way around, and like Six Flags, go round and round and round and round and round and round, and then you finally come here. Once you come into the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, for men, they will divide it into two. The back, and if you're lucky, you get to go from the front. You'll be close. Otherwise, you have to go from the back. You'll be at a little distance. That's fine. For the women, I don't know how it's going to be during Hajj, but in Umrah, they have, after every salah, they close off for ziyarah. Ziyarah is different. This is ziyarah, and then Riyadh al-Jannah is different. Riyadh al-Jannah, you will have to book through your app. And the interesting thing is, if you have been to Umrah in the past 365 days, then you will not get to book another ziyarah. Ziyarah has a limitation for 365 days. I went in November, so when I went this time in February, I wasn't allowed to go. At the last stage, it said that you've been there before. No, you have to wait until the whole year finishes. Yes.
Just regard to the app, I went to Umrah last year, and for some reason in my case, it turned out that I needed the local number in order to use the app. So anyone here who has recently experienced that the US number, such as you mentioned, T-Mobile or AT&T, is the $10 plan, which I plan to do this time. But it happened to me last year where the app would not work on, or let's say the app only worked with the local number.
I think once you arrive there, it should work, no?
I think it was like that before, but recently I've been able to use, I use my AT&T and it works.
I think he should be there to be able, I don't know. Okay.
They'll send a coding.
Now,
What's the name of the app?
Nusuk. The Nusuk app, and that will have your permits. There are two main permits that you will need. The major permit is the Riyadh Jannah permit. The Umrah permit, and when we get to Makkah, we'll talk about this some more, is not as important. You can get away without even booking your Umrah, but you need it for Riyadh Jannah. In Medina, there's nothing much that you need to do. There's no Tawaf, there's nothing. Just go to the masjid, pray your salahs, and return. Now, if I were to break it down, how it will look like. Once you get to the Medina airport, you will then take a bus. The bus will take you to your hotel. Once you get to your hotel, for some reason, the rooms are never ready. Right? Your baggage will your bags will travel separately. You will not have your check-in bags with you. You may have your carry-on, you may have your backpack, you may have your drawstring bag, but your check-in bags will not travel with you anywhere. They have the check-in bags travel separately because if there's 50 people, each of them have 2 bags, that's 100 bags. What they do is they get a big temple, they have the bags travel separately. Once you get to the hotel, your rooms will most likely not be ready. Whenever you do get the key, they'll tell you that your bags are on so-and-so floor. You go and collect your bags, you go to your room, rest up. Once you get to your room in Medina, I would recommend taking a nap, showering, set a pair of clothes from now. When I go to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, what is the pair of clothes that I'm going to be wearing? It's like you have a shadi that you're going to go to, or a wedding that you're going to go to, or a big event. You set aside those clothes from days before. So this is, you're going to the Prophet ﷺ, set aside those clothes days before. Now, the way that the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ works, the Qibla is facing south, and majority of the hotels will be in the north. So there are some hotels in the south, but majority of the hotels will be north. Hilton is there, Taiba is there, Dalla Taiba is there, Mubeen Kamani is there. So majority of the hotels will be there. Now, there are 2 women's sections in the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. The major section and then a small section. The small section does not connect to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. The major section does. So based upon where your hotel is, not unfortunately, but alhamdulillah, I will be in the moving pig. Moving pig is close to the small section. So for women that are coming with me, well, they'll have to go all the way around to the major section to go to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. So, and we'll talk about this, how making sure you're familiar with the area is very important, right? Another thing that I will say, in the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, no matter where you see the rows, there's always space open ahead. You just go a little bit more and you'll find space in the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, most likely, unless it's like Jummah or something. Besides that, there will always be space ahead. People usually sit down, and what tends to happen, you think to yourself, well, there's lines all the way here, everything else is full, everything else is not full, you can go and you can get space. So for the women, make sure you know which of the 2 areas you're going to, the major area or the small portion. The small portion does not connect to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, the major portion. They open up and it connects to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. So that's a little bit about Medina. Again, there's nothing else that you need to do. Send salawat of the Prophet ﷺ. Try to adapt as many sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ as you can. Medina is all about your connection to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
There are multiple.
I can check, but I don't know off the top of my head. I can check, inshallah.
What is the check-in time for the hotel in Medina? Usually
3.
3 or 4?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Even if you get there 5, 6 o'clock, your room won't be ready. It's just how it is. And the reason for that is that at one time they're putting together 50 rooms. So that's my experience. There's a lot of people. Some of the rooms will be quad, some of the rooms will be double, some of the rooms will be triple. So the keying portion of it is very difficult. It's one, as a group leader, it's one of the most stressful points of our whole trip. Making sure everybody gets their key. People are tired, and I'm trying to get them their key as soon as they can. Just be a little patient. We'll talk about patience. later on. Most likely, every person will get their own room key. If you're traveling with your spouse, then you may have a double, alhamdulillah. If not, you'll be roomed with other men, or if you have a triple. But that's kind of what the rooming is like, right? In Hajj, usually breakfast is included. I think majority of packages have dinner separately, right? So breakfast is always included. If we were to look at the timetable, and this is for the majority part what your timetable will look like. After Fajr, you will have breakfast. After breakfast, you go to sleep. You wake up for Zohar, pray Zohar, come back, go to sleep again. Right? Because majority of your sleep will be during the day, not at night. After Asr, most likely your group will have some sort of reminder or what's happening, an update, which will lead you to Maghrib. You go to the Haram to Maghrib. You stay there until Isha. Isha, you come back, you have dinner, and then the women sometimes it opens up to go to Ziyarah, or the men are going to Quba, or there's something that's happening after Isha. You then wake up for the Tahajjud, you go for the Tahajjud, you stay into Fajr. That's what your schedule is roughly like in Medina and Makkah, for the most part.
Question. If I leave, you would need to use this slide. Changing. Okay? They can follow along with you. I'll be back.
Now, when you are checking out, the way that checkout will look like, they will tell you a day before that you need to put your bags outside. So let's say you're Medina stage for 3 days. Most likely everybody's Medina stage for 3 days, whether it's in the beginning or whether it's at the tail end. The day before, they'll tell you need to put your bags outside, and they may give you a ribbon to tie on your bag. All the ribbons with so-and-so color, like all the red ribbons will go to one hotel, all the blue ribbons will go to another hotel, because based off the size of the group that you're taking. After that, you will have your backpack and your carry-on. This is where you put all of your Ihram stuff, because you still need to get in the state of Ihram. Make sure your Ihram does not go in your check-in, because your check-in will go to Makkah and get there before you. You have your Ihram stuff, everything that you need in your backpack and your carry-on.
So the train stops near Miqat for us to put Ihram.
I'll talk about that. Now, the way that Ihram, if you're putting on Ihram from Medina, the way that it will be, majority of the trains leave after Zohar to go to Makkah. In Umrah, usually Makkah, in Hajj, it may be a little bit different. So what we recommend is after Fajr Salah, you go and have your breakfast, maybe nap for an hour or so, wake up, shower, you can put on soap, you can put on perfume, deodorant, all that good stuff. Wear the clothes of Ihram, not make the intention of Ihram, just wear the clothes of Ihram, pray your Zohar Salah, pray the 2 rakats of Ihram, and come back. You're not in the state of Ihram. I'll talk about that later on. From there, once the buses are ready, they will call you down. They'll call you down beforehand. The buses are ready. They'll load you into the buses. And from the buses, they'll take you to the Medina train station. The Medina train station is usually 20 to 25-minute drive based off of what the traffic situation is like. Now, the train ride, if you are going by train, alhamdulillah, and if you're not going by train, still alhamdulillah. The bus situation, I've done this trip in maybe 5 to 6 hours, and I've done the same trip in 16 hours. Right? So it can be either or. They made it a lot better now because a lot of people are going by train, so the bus routes are much more emptier. Bus is a little bit more uncomfortable, whereas the train is a breeze. These are super fast trains. You get there within like 2 hours. Really relaxed. It's not like the trains back home where the people are like climbed on one another. It's chill. But you will not take your check-in bags. Only your handbag, maybe your carry-on, some food. 2 hours, you'll be there. This time of those 2 hours, I tell people, is very, very valuable because you're about to do your Umrah. Any preparation that you need to do, your dua list, everything that you need to do, take care of it now. Right? So this is what the trains look like. They're really fast, good trains. This is the train station. Now, yes.
You mentioned only no carry on in the train.
You can take carry-on, backpack. You can take no check-in bags, no check-in bag. Now, this concludes. Yes.
So how they, whatever the luggage we are going to check in, we have to leave it in Medina or how it will be?
So you leave it outside the door. The bellboys take it downstairs to the lobby, and they load it onto a cargo van, a cargo truck, and that truck takes all the bags to Makkah.
So you will get in Makkah.
Yeah, you'll get in Makkah. When you get to the Makkah hotel, most likely it will already be set on a floor. It'll be similar. You'll get your keys. You'll go there. You'll point out your bags to the bellhops. The bellhops will bring you to your room, or some places you may have to take your bag yourself. But your bags will be there before you get there.
Okay.
Now, when you come onto the train, you will already be in the clothes of Ihram. Answering Nasir's question, the train will not stop. Roughly 7 to 10 minutes after the train leaves the station, it will pass Miqat. There will be announcements that the train is about to pass Miqat. Please make sure you take off anything that's outside of the state of Ihram. We'll talk about this shortly. Make your intentions. We'll talk about how to make the intentions. If you are going by bus, the bus will stop at Bir Ali, most likely. Some groups will say, we're not going to stop. We're going to go as fast as possible. If you stop at Bir Ali, you can make your intention with your group there at Bir Ali, one of the miqats. But if you're on the train that Nasir asked, you will need to make your intention as soon as a couple of minutes once the train leaves the station. All right. Now, the Umrah guide.
So we just make intention, we don't put Ihram.
You wear Ihram beforehand.
Or before?
Yes.
So when we are going.
Yes.
Oh.
That morning in Medina, in the hotel shower, you put on the Ihram there. But you don't make the intention of Ihram. Once you wear Ihram, you can still continue to do everything as normal. But once you make the intention, then all the rules and regulations apply. So let's say you wear Ihram. After that, you can cover your head. After that, if you need to clip your nose, you can clip your nose. You can put on perfume. But once you make the intention, and we'll talk about what the intention is, from that point on, done. You can, right? Now, once you get to Makkah al-Mukarramah, you will get off at the train station. They will walk you to where the buses are. From the buses, they will load all the buses up, put your hand carries at the bottom. The buses will roughly take half an hour to an hour to get to your hotel, depending on the traffic. Traffic is crazy there. So be prepared. It can take a long time. Even though it's a short amount of time, it can take a long time. And what you'll see is that even once you get to the hotel, maneuvering into the spot will take ages. If you're in the clock tower, the buses have to go underneath the clock tower. The clock tower has a bunch of different hotels. It has, the Moving Pig is there, the Pullman is there, Fairmont is there, Swiss Hotel is there. They have to go under into a tunnel. There's it's Tetra's there with a bunch of buses, so it can take a long time. But this is kind of what the trip looks like from the train station to the hotel. Now, Ihram. There are two parts of Ihram, like we said before. There is the clothing of Ihram and the state of Ihram. The clothing of Ihram is, of course, for men, 2 white garments. It is sunnah, not mandatory, to take a bath before you put on your Ihram. It's mustahab to trim your mustache, removing any excessive hair, clipping your nails, applying perfume before you enter in the state. You should do all this before. And for those of you that are going to Medina, you will do this in the Medina hotel. If you are going to Jeddah first and to Makkah, then you need to do this in Istanbul, in Qatar, wherever your stop is. Enter onto the plane in the clothes of Ihram. If you enter onto the plane thinking that I'm going to go to the bathroom and change, it's going to be very, very difficult. They do announce it in the plane that we're passing the miqat, and make sure you're in the state of Ihram. But if there's a bunch of people, everybody there is going to Umrah. Everybody there is going to Hajj. So now if everybody tries to go to the bathroom and change their clothes there, it's going to be chaos. So make sure you wear your Ihram and do all of this before you get on to the last leg of your plane to Jeddah.
Sorry.
Yes.
So is it permissible to go into the near of Umrah from the airport itself?
I would not recommend it. And the reason
Do it
for
on the plane?
do on the plane.
Okay.
You want to make your intention at the last moment possible.
Okay.
The reason why, if you go wash your hands with soap, you're penalized. Okay. So you want to avoid as much as penalties as possible. So put on your ihram. Intention is when you're passing miqat. Do not make the intention before that. Right? I've seen many people make the intention before. Let's say your Turkey flight is 3 hours. In 3 hours, you're in the state of ihram. If you cover your face, if you pull out some hair, penalty. So best to put on, enter into the state of ihram as late as possible.
And you should be praying your 2 rak'at on the plane then?
You can pray your 2 rakats before, at the airport. And even though in Medina you will pray your 2 rakats, my recommendation is when you go for Zohr Salah, pray your 2 rakats in the Haram. Maximize on the reward. So pray your 2 rakats in the Haram if you're going from Medina. If you're going from Makkah, then pray at the airport. Right. Now, for men, ihram is preferably 2 white pieces of cloth, which is unstitched. Unstitched, and I'll talk about this some more. Now, if you're going to Medina, then you will get your ihram from there. Most likely your group will give you ihram. If you are not, or if you would like to purchase your own ihram, my recommendation will be, this is how I do my ihram. The top part, I get a towel cloth, a terry cloth. You can go to Baraka, purchase an ihram from there, or go to Joanne Fabrics. Right? Go to Joanne Fabrics, download the app, you'll get 50% off. Not a plug for Joanne Fabrics, but this is what I do. The top part, you want a terry cloth. Why? Because that will soak in any sweat. The bottom part, you don't need a towel. If you get a cotton cloth, which is white, which is long, that can cover from your waist all the way down to your ankles, then that's good. What I do is I get a cotton cloth from here and I tell my wife to stitch it down the side. Now, I just said unstitch and you're thinking, wait, why are you stitching it? I'm talking about this. Which then becomes a cylinder shape. The bottom part becomes a cylinder shape. It's easier to maintain. As for the unstitching part, unstitch means anything that's in the shape of your body. It has arms, it has legs. That's not permissible. If it's not in the shape of your arms, and if it's not in the shape of your legs, it's permissible. So you can stitch your bottom garment all the way down, and that's what I do. You can use safety pins. Some ihrams have buttons. Some ihrams have Velcro. I know this time my daughter, she had magnets for her hijab, and some people are using magnets for the ihram. Permissible. All that is fine, right? Whatever you're comfortable with. Later on, I'll show how to put on ihram for the men afterwards, right? The shoes that you use in the state of ihram for men, I have pictures that will be coming up. They'll be like sandals. The inseam of your foot, the top part of your foot where your shoelaces are, as much as you can, it has to be uncovered. Now, these are some of the footwear that are permissible. This is the clothes footwear that men, not women, women can wear whatever they like for footwear that are permissible. 1, 2, and 3, the inseam of your foot is exposed as much as possible. I personally use option number 4. These are UFUs, or you can get Crocs like this, which are extremely padded. They cost $40, $50, but your feet will thank you. Because the walking in Hajj that you have, right? If you add all of that up, that's a lot of walking that you're going to be doing. Now, it's not necessarily that you're going to walk all this. Some of them, there will be trains. Some of them, there will be buses. So if you don't freak out, it's okay. Majority of the groups will have trams that will go from Mina to Arafah, Arafah to Muzdalifah, Muzdalifah back to Mina. You don't need to walk that, but there will be a lot of walking. make sure you have good slippers, right? A lot of times you're like, oh, I just buy a chappal from there. Don't buy chappal from there. Your feet will hurt. Keep in mind that majority of the walking there is on marble. You're not used to walking on marble. Your feet, when you come back, will be cracked, painful. No matter what your shoe wear is, you're already putting a lot of mileage. For example, from the Medina hotel to the Haram, that walk is a good 15-minute walk there and 15-minute walk back. Makkah is even more. So make sure, once again, please have good slippers. It will be necessary. Yes.
You suggest that we buy slippers that we're going to use there or get it and start walking every day at least 5 miles around our home in sunny.
We're talking about 5 miles in the house.
Not the house, outside.
I think adding a little bit walk is good. You don't need to break in those slippers, but maybe get a little used to it. Yeah, I think a little used to it is good. And those slippers that I pointed out, Ufus, they're very comfortable slippers. It feels like you're walking on cotton. What I would recommend is if you do get the black Ufus that I had there, make sure you have like a marker or something that you put your name, because outside of your tent, you will find 20 of these. For me, it works out because I wear a size 15 and nobody else has a size 15 unless my brother's with me. But a lot of people mix up their slippers, so make sure you have something that identifies your slippers.
So I have a solution to that. Keep 2 slippers, one for walking and one for tent. Cheap quality for tent and good quality for walking.
There you go.
So as soon as you come to tent, put that slipper in the string bag and use the other slipper.
And that I think that will work too. And again, protecting your feet during Hajj is actually a very underrated part. There's a lot of walking. Like Nasir said, if your slippers get lost, then you're in a tough situation. You can buy slippers there, but they will not be comfortable. So please make sure you take care of your slippers while you're there. Now, where do we go? Sorry. The Ihram for women. Women can wear any type of abaya, any type of scarf. It does not have to be a particular color. However, my recommendation is, you ready for this? No, you can talk. No, I'm saying, are you ready for this part? Go out and buy the most funky color scarves that you can find. If you are wearing a black scarf and a black abaya, my wife, we're shopping. We're going to our hotel and she stops to shop. And of course, every few months she's stopping. And I grab her hand, like, Chalo. And she yanks her hand back. And I'm like, what? And I look, my wife says, she's over there. And I grabbed somebody else's hand. So that's why after that I told my wife, you're no longer wearing black scarves. Now, and it's not just for me, it's very easy. One of the key things, and keep this in mind, you need to have things that will identify you. Keep in mind, there'll be thousands of people there. If I'm your group leader and I need to find you, and you're telling me I'm under so-and-so gate number, there's gonna be 1,000 people there. If you have a pink hijab, okay, there it is. If you have a lanyard that's maybe yellow, I can find you. If you have a backpack, a rucksack that's blue or some other color, I can find you. So my recommendation is your abaya colors, your hijab colors, let it kind of be a little funky. That's fine. It's easier for somebody to find you. For women, your face cannot be covered. If you cover your face, let's say you wear a niqab, you cover your face. In the state of Ihram, you cannot cover your face. Now, what women tend to do, they use like a visor and they have a cloth that's covering it, but you cannot have something that's covering your face, which means even when you sleep, and we'll talk about this later on, nothing can cover your face. Now, let's say if something accidentally covers your face, then what? If it's for a short period of time, then it's fine.
What about the mask?
Face masks are permissible. Yes. Generally, they weren't, but there has been an exception after COVID that face masks are permissible. Now, this slide talks about the 2 rakats of Ihram. We already talked about that. You want to do this in Medina or at the airport. It's sunnah to read Surah Kafirun in the first rakat. Sorry, it's opposite. Surah Kafirun in the first rakat and Surah Ikhlas in the second rakat in the sunnahs of Ihram. All right. When should Ihram be worn? We already talked about this. In Medina, wear it in your hotel. And if you're going to Makkah, then you want to wear it at the airport. These are the 5 boundaries, miqat. One of the biggest mistakes, and I'll have some slides of the most common mistakes in Hajj and Umrah, is that people enter into the state of, they pass over miqat outside of Ihram. They go to Jeddah with the regular clothes and they think that they'll put the regular clothes on from there. That's not permissible. Make sure that when you pass the boundaries, you're in the state of Ihram. Now, how to enter into the state of Ihram? And so these are the boundaries right here. How to enter into the state of Ihram. To enter in the state of Ihram, you need niyyah and talbiyah in Ihram. 3 things. 3 things are mandatory. The garments of Ihram, the intention, and talbiyah. Intention will be the 3 different types of Hajj. Each one will have a different intention. Most of the time, people do Hajj tamattu, and I break down Hajj tamattu a lot, and I'll explain all 3 later on. If you are doing Hajj tamattu, then you will do this intention. Allahumma inni uridu al-umrata fayassirha li wa taqabbal minni. Oh Allah, I intend for Umrah, so make it easy upon me and accept from me. Hajj tamattu. Hajj Qiran and Hajj Ifrad. Hajj Ifrad, instead of Umrah, you will say Hajj, and in Hajj Qiran, you will say both. We'll talk about that later on. Right? But this is the intention that you need to make. After this, you say Talbiyah. If you have Ihram on, you have your Talbiyah, you have your Niyyah, you're in the state of Ihram. All the things that are impermissible, Ihram will now apply. Right? Labayk, Sheikh Salah went over before. And we'll talk about Labayk later on some more as well. The ruling regarding Talbiyah. The Prophet ﷺ in hadith says, when a Muslim recites Talbiyah, every stone that hears it, every tree, and even the ground will testify on his behalf on the Day of Judgment that this person recited Talbiyah. And that's why you should recite Talbiyah as much as possible. In one narration, the Prophet ﷺ says the Umrah and the Hajj that has the most Talbiyah is the one that's most likely to be accepted. So saying Talbiyah as much as possible. Now, like Sheikh Salah said, Talbiyah, there are 2 types. One is that you just say it, and the other is that you actually put your heart to it. Understanding what you are saying when you are saying Talbiyah. You're saying, Labayk, Allahumma Labayk, oh Allah, I'm here. I'm present. I've left everything behind. My car, my clothes, my food, my bed, all of my comfort I've left behind. Labayk. La sharika laka labayk. There's no one associated to you. I'm here. In alhamda, all praise. Wa ni'mata, and all the flavors is for you. Laka wal mulk, and kingdom is for you. La sharika lak. There's no one that's associated with you. Understanding that with your heart, every time that you say it, that you are here for one reason. And we'll talk about this some more. We'll talk about some other things that people do on Hajj and Umrah that's not the purpose why you're there. You are there. The reason why you fought over nusuk, the reason why you pay thousands of dollars is for this reason. Hajj. And that's where you're telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh Allah, I'm here for you. And so the Prophet ﷺ said you should read Talbiyah as much as possible. Men should read it out loud. Again, if women read it out loud in unison, then that's not a problem either. You should read Talbiyah individually as well as collectively, both. So when people are sleeping, read it on your own. If everybody is reading out loud, I like to read Talbiyah as loud as possible. Let the whole train station echo with your Talbiyah. If it's awkward for somebody, that's fine. This is my time. This is why I paid for it. This is why I'm here. I want everything around me to testify on the Day of Judgment that, oh Allah, this man right here left everything and came for you. So Talbiyah. Now, the acts are forbidden in Ihram. Any type of sin outside of Ihram is also prohibited inside Ihram as well, even more so. Right? So anything that you do outside, even more so, is prohibited. Foul language, فَلَا رَفَسَ وَلَا فُسُوقَ وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. Any foul language, any type of fighting, quarreling, arguing is prohibited in the state of Ihram. Now, for you to understand this, if somebody bumps into you here, the person will usually say sorry. Over there, people will bump into you and they won't say sorry. Somebody will cut in front of you. You've been in the line for the bathroom. There are 7, 8 bathrooms and there are 100 people. You've been in line in the bathroom for so long, somebody's gonna come and jump in front of you. And at that moment, you want to get angry. You're waiting in line for wudu. You want to get angry. You're waiting in line for food. Somebody comes and takes your packet of food. You want to get angry. فَلَا رَفَسَ وَلَا. There's no fighting. وَلَا جِدَالَ فِي الْحَجِّ. There's no fighting and there's no immoral talk in Hajj. Of course, any type of intimacy is prohibited. Wearing day-to-day clothes in the state of Ihram is prohibited. That has arms, legs, undergarments, hats. These are all prohibited. Hats for women are permissible. Using any type of fragrance or perfume in the state of Ihram is, of course, prohibited. Any type of soap is prohibited. Removing or plucking any type of hair. Clipping your nails, regular footwear, which the inseam of your foot is covered, that is prohibited as well. Yes, umbrella is fine. Umbrella is fine, and you should take an umbrella. Why? Because of the heat. For men to cover their head in the state of Ihram, that's prohibited. For female and men, letting something covering your face is prohibited. Hunting or killing, let's say there's a fly or there's something that's harmful, killing something is prohibited as well in the state of Ihram. Now, these things are permissible. Taking a shower in Ihram is permissible, and I highly recommend it. What the bathrooms will look like. In the state of Ihram, usually the bathrooms will look like this. Bathroom, shower head. You wait maybe 20, 30 minutes to get inside the bathroom, and then you have to wait another 20, 30 minutes to do wudu. My recommendation is that when you're in the bathroom, turn the shower head on, cool off, do your wudu there, you exit the bathroom in the state of wudu, as well as cooled off, fresh, right? So taking a shower is permissible, and I would recommend yes. Yes, yeah. Inshallah, in your hotel, you have proper bathrooms.
If you're in Medina and let's say if you're staying in Azizia, can you go to your room and take shower?
That's why Azizia is amazing. Right. And once we get to day number 3 of Hajj, I'll talk about Mina. I'll talk about Azizia and the benefits of Azizia. I advocate for Azizia a lot. When I found out I don't have Azizia, I'm like, oh man, Azizia is beautiful.
Let's not make others feel bad.
So brother, for the can we go from Medina to Azizia in our hotel?
I'll talk about it, yes. Now, using unscented soap, I talked about this before. You can, but I don't recommend it. Using some type of injection, if you have medication that you need to take, that's permissible. Using bandages, sunglasses, glasses, watches, miswak, all of these are permissible. You're allowed to wear it. If you have some sort of Fitbit, if you have a band, right? You need to, if there's a band, some of the groups will give you bands, wristbands to wear, which will have maybe your hotel information, which will have your tent information. Wearing that is absolutely permissible. Wrapping yourself and wearing using a blanket is permissible. Make sure you do not cover your face. Wearing a belt is permissible, and of course, you will need to wear a belt. Wearing a belt, again, you will need to. If there's something harmful, like a snake or something, which inshallah you don't come across this, then killing that would be permissible. Wearing a face mask is permissible. A knee, ankle, or wrist brace, I'm sorry, I forgot to put brace on there, is permissible. Right? If you need to wear a brace for some reason, it's permissible. Let's say, for example, you have sciatica issues, and you have to wear tennis shoes. You can't wear regular slippers. Then what? You can wear your tennis shoes, but there will be a penalty that you will need to pay. We'll talk about penalties later on, but that is, you can do that if need be. Now, yes. Not in the state of Ihram. Not in the state of Ihram. Outside of Ihram, you can. So eye cover, any type of eye cover in the state of Ihram, because it's going to be covering your face, and that too for an extended period of time, not permissible. Right. Now, Umrah. Umrah, the ghusl of Umrah, we talked about that before. 2 rakats, we talked about that before. Both of them are sunnahs. Ihram, it's a condition you have to. Tawaf, it's a requirement. The 2 rakats after Tawaf, I'll talk about this some more later on. It's necessary. Sa'i, wajib, and halaq, cutting your hair. We'll talk about how much women need to cut and how much men need to cut, but this is just an overview breakdown of all the pillars of Umrah. All of this together, these 7 steps, are included into your Umrah. Some of them are Sunnah, the remainder are Farad.
Sorry, the second step where you said the 2 rakats before Ihram, do you actually mean before you put on the Ihram, like in your normal clothes?
No, before you enter the state of Ihram. Yeah. Now, entering into Makkah al-Mukarramah, keep in mind that you're not here to sightsee. Yes, they will take you on a ziyarah to see certain places, Jabal al-Nur, they'll take you, the Cave of Thawd, they'll take you, maybe they might take you to Hudaybiyah, but the main purpose of coming to Makkah, again, remember, it's a huge, huge virtue, it's a huge blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. Enter into the state of Makkah in a state of humility. Once again, we said that you get to the hotel, you'll wait for your keys. Once you get your keys, you'll go to the floor where your bags are, you get your bags, you go to your room. Once you are in your room, again, I would recommend, once you get to your room, put your phone to charge right away. First thing that I do when I get to my hotel room is put my phone to charge. Because the process of Umrah can take anywhere from 3 hours to 7, 8 hours, depending on when you go. In that time, your phone, your battery pack. Make sure on your packing list, I had battery pack. A battery pack is important. Get a nice Anchor battery pack that can last you, that might even have the USB or an Apple charger. That is important. Charge that up. Go to your room. If you have time for a nap, take a small nap. You're tired from the travel, go and shower. When you go to your room, once again, the room will have toiletries there. They will have fragrant soap. They'll have fragrant shampoo. Do not touch any of that. If you are lucky and your room has a Kaaba view, close your curtains. Right? Do not look at the Kaaba. The first sight, there are some narrations where the first sight of the dua, the first sight is very powerful. Some people say, no, that's the only one. Regardless, save it. Save your first view until you get the chance to look at the Kaaba comfortably. So in your room, close your curtains, shower up, ask your group when they will be leaving, meet them in the lobby, and there from together you will go together. Some groups will have receivers. Receivers will be a headset so in Makkah and Medina, especially in Makkah, gathering as a group is prohibited. If the cops see that your group is together, they'll break your group together. They'll break your group up, especially if they're talking. If you're walking together, that's fine, but if the leader is sitting there talking, they will break your group up. So that's why many groups will use receivers, where the imam will have something like this, and everybody else will have a small receiver and a set of headphones in the ear. Some groups will use Zoom. So they send a Zoom link, Dar Salam and Qalam, we use a Zoom link where you just go on the Zoom and you can then use your AirPods or whatever it is in your ears. Make sure you have that as well, right? Now, the ideal time, I think I had that coming in later on. The ideal time to perform Umrah, finding the right time is important. You may not get the ideal time based upon when you are coming into Makkah. If you're flying into Makkah after Fajr, then you have to go and do your Umrah. Simple. The ideal time that I recommend is after Isha Salah. After Isha. Because there's no heat, there are no salahs in between, And usually an hour or so after Isha, the crowd begins to temper down. So you get a decent crowd and you can get done relatively quickly. Now, after COVID, one of the changes that they've made is on the ground floor of the Haram, only people in the state of Ihram that are wearing Ihram can go, which unfortunately is a huge loss for men. After we perform our first Umrah, the only way that we can go again is if we go and put on the state of Ihram. For women, so in women in Medina, it's difficult because the Riyadh Jannah is difficult, visiting the Prophet ﷺ is difficult, but you get the plus side in Makkah. In Makkah, women can go whenever they want, easily get in, it's chill. But for men, it's a little bit more difficult. So you will be in the state of Ihram, and this one time you will get to go to the ground floor. If you are going after Isha, most likely your Isha and Maghrib still need to be prayed. You will meet with your group outside in the Sahan, in the marble. You will pray your Maghrib and Isha, and then your group leader will walk you through the front gate. All of the hotels in Makkah are on one side. In Medina, you have some on the front side as well. In Makkah, they're all on one side, and you enter most likely through King Abdulaziz Gate or King Fahd Gate, one of these two. Right? When you enter into that, once again, make sure you have your shoe bag. Shoe bag will be important. Take off your slippers. You want to keep your gaze down until your group leader takes you inside. They will guide you. They will get you into the mataf. Mataf is the immediate area. So Sahan is a courtyard of the whole masjid, outside marble area of the masjid. Mataf is the immediate area around the Kaaba. Once you get into Mataf, I'll show you in some of the pictures where you will most likely be. And when you're there, the group leader will say, okay, look up. At that point, find a comfortable spot that's not in the middle, that's not in the pathway, that you can sit there and just stand there and make dua for as long, usually 10 minutes or so before a police will come, and you will hear this forever. Hajj, 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 Hajjiyah, Tariq, Tariq, Tariq. These will become a nightmare for you for the next couple of months. You will hear this over and over. When I come back to America, I hear this all the time. Ya Hajj, Ya Hajj, Hajj. So the cops will come and they will move you after that point. So that is viewing the Kaaba. This is the area view of the Kaaba. Now, all the hotels are on this side. All the hotels are here. So when you enter, you're going to enter from this area right here. I'll explain this a little bit more once we get a better picture. Now, familiar yourself with the Kaaba. Most likely, when you enter the Kaaba, you will be on that far side up top, before Rukn Yamani. Right, that's where everybody enters in from, before Rukn Yamani. It's the least crowded area of the Kaaba. After Rukn Yamani, all the way to the other side is the most crowded area. It's just extremely packed. But the place where we enter from, because of where the hotels are, is the least crowded area. What will happen is, in the back somewhere, you will do your dua, and then to start your tawaf, you will come to Hajj Aswad. Right? Now, looking at the different corners, you have Rukn Yamani on that side, Rukn Sham on that side, Hajj Aswad on this side. You have the foundation of the Kaaba, you have Hajj Aswad. Hajj Aswad, we'll talk about that some more later on. You have Multazim. I have some more on the Multazim. The Multazim is between the Hajj Aswad and the door. You have the door. You have Maqam Ibrahim. This green line is no longer there. They removed it, and the reason why people will stop there and you will back up the traffic. And then you have the Hatim. The Hatim, usually this side is always blocked now. And the other side, they open it, but they have like a system where they will block it. Women will be around the Hatim, and men will be around the other side. They'll open it, let women in, empty it out, then let men in, empty it out, and have a system like that. If you get a chance to pray, we'll talk about how to do that. In your first Umrah, don't worry about any of this. Don't worry about the Multazim. Don't worry about touching the Kaaba. Don't worry about the door. Don't worry about the Hatim. You're just there to just perform your first Umrah. and I'll talk about this some more. But this is just to familiarize yourself with what the Kaaba looks like. All right, a little bit more right here. The Kiswa, the Yamani, the Sham. The mizab is the water spout, the top, the drain, the hadim, the door of the Kaaba, Maqam Ibrahim, and of course, Hajj Aswad. This is another slide that has all the breakdown of what the Kaaba looks like. Now, preparation for Tawaf. Tawaf is, of course, compulsory in Hajj and Umrah. My recommendation is plan out your Tawaf. Plan out your Tawaf now. Anything less than 7 rounds is cardio. You're not doing anything. You have to do a full 7 rounds around the Kaaba. Because most likely this one you will be doing with Tawaf, it should be relatively easier. Planning out your Tawaf means you have 7 rounds. In each of these 7 rounds, what will you be saying?
So, for example, if you forget and you make more rounds, that's fine, right?
That's fine. More is fine.
Yeah, more is fine.
Less is not. I would have recommended. And how to avoid that is what we're talking about right now. So there is a counter, right? But another way to avoid it is plan out your Tawaf. Plan out your Tawaf means that in my 7 rounds, I have a particular thing that I say in each of the rounds. For example, in my first round, I ask Allah for forgiveness. In the second round, I send durood on the Prophet ﷺ. In the third round, I make dua for my parents. In the fourth round, I make dua for my spouse and my children. In the fifth round, I make dua for my dunya. In the sixth round, I make dua for my akhirah. In the seventh round, another dua that I have planned out. So like this, I have 7 rounds that I know what I'm saying in each round, and I keep track, and I plan out my tawaf like this. Otherwise, will be. So again, what I do, first round, I ask Allah for forgiveness. Second round, send dua upon the Prophet ﷺ, dua for my parents, dua for my spouse and children, dua for my akhirah, dua for my dunya. Seventh round, dua for anybody else. And that's one option. You can even say the kalima la ilaha illallah if you would like to read some Quran. Have 1 round for the Quran. That's fine as well. But plan out your tawaf. Otherwise, what will happen is you'll get distracted. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see all the time, is that people getting distracted. And it's very easy because there's a kid that's on his father's shoulder. Oh, so cute. You're distracted. Somebody's pushing you, you're distracted. Somebody's walking like this, you're distracted. People are holding their hand and walking in formation, you're distracted. Right? So maintaining concentration during your tawaf is going to be very, very important. And that's why I say you want to plan out your tawaf. That way you have some sort of game plan that you're following and you're engaged while you're in tawaf. Tawaf starts at the black stone. Of course, you will not be close to the black stone, most likely be far away from the black stone. Now, looking at it. Okay. When you start your tawaf, most likely you won't start here, it will start all the way over here. The first round, you'll be outside, you'll come to this point right here, all the way on the outside. Well, I recommend if you would like, slowly upon each round, make your way inside. Slowly. Do not cut into. If people are walking this way and I cut directly, it's going to be chaos. So walk, counterclockwise and slowly, gradually make your way inside. Inside is a little bit shorter, but the traffic is a lot more. So be careful about that. Right? So you start from here. The way that you start is, so you start from the black stone, the minarets of the Kaaba right here. Ittiba and Rami. This is, of course, for men, Ittiba and Rami. Ittiba, you have no choice. There's no way that you will be able to do tawaf without it, because everybody will see you and like, open your shoulder. Because if you are in Ihram doing tawaf, your right shoulder has to be exposed. And I'll explain how to do that. For women, of course, you will not do Ittiba. You pass your ihram underneath your right armpit and then over your shoulder. So that is ittiba.
How many?
All.
7?
Yes.
Some people or some scholars say 3
3 for Ramal. 3 for the brisk walk. Ittiba is full. Yes, full 7. And that's why people will tell you, open it. Ramal, if possible, sometimes it won't be possible. Why? Because there'll be so many people there. Is to walk with a little bit of swing in your shoulders, a little bit of to talk, and young kids, a little bit of swagger in your walk, right? Like this. It may not be possible, and that's fine. Now, how many rounds will you do Ramal? The first 3 circuits. The 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, you walk as normal, right? So this is Ramal. It will be just for guys to walk like this in the first 3 rounds. Women walk normally, guys to walk with a little bit of a little march, yeah. And now during Tawaf.
You mean like in Harwala?
Harwala? No, during Tawaf, the first 3 rounds of Tawaf, men will walk with a little swing in their shoulders. Now the reason for this, when the Prophet ﷺ came back for Tawaf, for Umrah al-Qadha, Hudaybiyah, the Muslims were sent back, they were not allowed to perform Umrah. When they came back the following year, some of the Quraysh said that they look a bit weak. The Muslims look a bit weak, maybe we should attack them. And the Prophet ﷺ said, let's show them our strength. He said, expose your shoulder and walk with a little bit of might. And that's where these 2 things came. So these 2 things came from the Umrah of the Prophet ﷺ, Ramal and Ittiba. Right? Okay. Men should uncover their right shoulder. We talked about this as well. Women will not. And then Istilam of the Kaaba. Upon every time that you come to Hajj al-Aswad, so to start off your Tawaf, you turn towards the Kaaba with your shoulder towards the Kaaba and you say Bismillah Allahu Akbar and you start. It could be any variation, that's fine. But some sort of Bismillah Allahu Akbar. The first time you will turn your shoulder to the Kaaba. After that, you don't need to turn your shoulder to the Kaaba. Just motion your hands. But every time you pass Hajj al-Aswad, you'll say Bismillah Allahu Akbar. You motion towards Hajj al-Aswad and then you continue. This is every time you come to the black stone. Now, what if you're not perfectly in line? That's fine. That's why they removed the line. There used to be a black line on the ground. They removed that. There is a green light that shows where Hajj al-Aswad is. But every time that you pass Hajj al-Aswad, you will say Bismillah Allahu Akbar. Right hand, left hand, both hands. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal, right? Ideally, and this is not going to happen, that you touch the black stone each time, right? It's not going to happen. And we'll talk a little bit about the black stone in the upcoming slides. Right. Bismillah Allahu Akbar. Each time you pass, if you can do both hands, that's fine. One hand, fine. You then kiss your hands and put it down. This is called Istilam of the Kaaba. And this is every time that you go past Hajj al-Aswad. Right, this shows where Hajj al-Aswad is, and as of course you see that there's a huge crowd, massive crowd. Now, getting to Hajj al-Aswad, keep in mind that your first Umrah, don't even attempt it. Do not. No matter how strong you think you are, no matter how much energy you have, don't attempt it. I will talk about how you do it later on. It is possible. In Hajj time, it may be a little bit more difficult, but we'll talk about that later on. This is where Hajj al-Aswad is. Now, Hajj al-Aswad itself, there are 2 pictures here. There are 8 small stones. That is the actual Hajj al-Aswad. The rest of it is molding. The black stone, which came down at the time of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, it was white. It has the ability to pull in your sins. It was stolen, dropped, broken, and that's why there are 8 small pieces. But it's now covered with this molding. This is just informational. If you get there, don't like, oh, I gotta get that. Just get in and out. But that's what the Hajj looks like. Right? We already talked about this. Women should walk normally. Men normally. We already talked about that. In Nafal Tawaf, you don't need to perform Ramal or Ittiba because you're going to be wearing regular clothes. You don't got to like pull your shoulder out of your sleeve. Or you don't got to have a fast-paced walk. This is only in the state of Ihram. Now, like I said before, you want to start here and then slowly make your way around each time. Naturally, you're going to do Tawaf outside of Hadith because it is close up. So you will not get to go inside of Hadim because the Hadim will be closed off. Hadim is this half wall right here, which marks where the Kaaba used to be until. You will see Maqam Ibrahim. Maqam Ibrahim, honestly, there's nothing to do at Maqam Ibrahim. So we said walk around Hadim. You shouldn't eat. You're allowed to drink Zamzam water if needed. Tawaf has to be done in the state of wudu. You have to have wudu when you perform your tawaf. If your wudu breaks while you're performing tawaf, you need to go back out, do wudu, come back to the same spot, continue on your tawaf from there. There are some scholars say that you need to start over again. You don't need to start over again. Whichever round you're in, go back out, come back, go back out, do your wudu, come back, and continue on from there. Right? But you have to have wudu. You cannot wear any type of footwear. Do not wear slippers. Women can wear socks and leather socks. You get like leather soles that you can wear. If you can get that, then that would be great. And because you're walking on marble, your feet do take a beating. Question?
Should we pray by Muhammad Ibrahim 2 rak'ahs?
Afterwards. Right.
So women are allowed to wear socks and the water.
Yeah. Yes.
What if it's a brand new shoe? If someone cannot walk.
If you cannot walk, then that's an exception. Right? If you have medically, let's say you have like an issue in your heels or in your ankles and you have to, that's different. And because of the crowd, nobody's going to look. There's too many feet all over the place, you'll be fine. Now, one thing I'll add, when going for tawaf, do not take anything extra. Only take what you need. What you need is your dua books, your phone, your charger, water bottle, a little bit of cash, maybe 50 riyals. You will need cash and you will need riyals. Now, once you get to your hotel, you can find money exchanges everywhere, right? They're called saraf. You give them $100 bills, they give you 375 riyals back. The amount is 375. Sometimes they give you 374, 373, but that's how much it would be. The barbers will only take riyals. They will not take anything else. If you're in a large group, they may take 15 riyals. If you're going on your own, or if you're going on the day of Hajj, they'll take 25, 30 riyals. Supply and demand. Amani? Yeah. If this is can't be, we're going to use that part. Right.
We have more food here, more samosas, so if you want to help yourself before brothers finish everything. Oh, ladies.
We'll get to that part. I'll explain that part. I'll explain the haircut, we'll get to that part. Yes. Wheelchair? I'll talk about that as well. All right. Now, for those of, if you have somebody that's using a wheelchair, wheelchairs are not allowed in the mataf area. You cannot take a wheelchair in the mataf area. You have to go far right. There is a ramp that goes up, and this top first floor is wheelchairs. It's a longer tawaf. It's a much longer tawaf. You can calculate a good hour for tawaf if you're going there, but that's where wheelchairs will have to go. Wheelchairs cannot be in the mataf area. Right? Rukn Yamani. The Prophet ﷺ is mustahab. If you can touch Rukn Yamani, then you can touch Rukn Yamani. As you pass by, there's no kissing of Rukn Yamani, there's no hugging of Rukn Yamani. Just slightly touch and continue walking. So this is what Rukn Yamani looks like. In the days of Hajj, they usually lift up the cover of the Kaaba. They fold it up, just to avoid wear and tear. The cover of the Kaaba, it gets changed every 9th of Dhul Hijjah. Once a year. It's a huge process. We won't be there. We'll be in the tents, but there's a huge process of changing the Kaaba, the cover. That will be.
Sorry, did you say it's sunnah?
Yes, mustahab.
And it's every.
If you can, most likely you may get to do it once, if that.
But if you can.
If you can. Now, keep in mind what I said earlier. The way that they have going into Hatim, the men line up after Rukn Yamani. So Rukn Yamani is very packed. Because that's where the men line up. After Rukn Yamani, during your whole tawaf, there's nothing that needs to be said, particular. Only after Rukn Yamani, this is the dua that you need to read. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. If somebody were to ask me what is the dua of tawaf, it's right here. Only after Rukn Yamani until Hajj Aswad. The remainder of the 3 corners, you make whatever dua you would like. However, from Rukn Yamani to Hajj Aswad, this is the dua that you're going to be reading. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Very simple, easy dua. Most likely, you'll have somebody reading out loud, and you could just read it along with them.
So you should recite it
Every round. Yes.
Talbiyah stops when the tawaf comes.
Talbiyah stops when the tawaf starts, yes. Tawaf is completed upon istidam at the final time, in the 7th round. Once you say your istidam at the final time. Now, like we said before, you gradually make your way in after the 1st round. On the 6th round, once you complete your 6th round, I would suggest gradually make your way outside. If you finish your 7th round and you're all the way inside and the crowd is all the way out there, and then you try to go out like this, it's going to be difficult. So slowly make your way out. That way, in the 7th round, you are finishing all the way outside, right? So the tawaf is completed when you do your istidam. After this, it is wajib, you have to read 2 rakats behind Maqam Ibrahim. Please do not go behind Maqam Ibrahim and start praying 2 rakats, because people are doing tawaf there. Go all the way back. They will move you all the way back. Unfortunately, I see people doing tawaf, praying salah there, and they're getting kicked, they're getting trampled upon. It's not safe. So once you finish your tawaf, go all the way behind Maqam Ibrahim and pray your 2 rakats there. Now, if you are doing tawaf at a time where you cannot pray 2 rakats, for example, after Asr Salah, or for example, after Fajr Salah, these are times that you cannot pray. You have to wait in the Haram and pray and then leave. You can't leave before praying. And so those 2 rakats are wajib. You have to pray those 2 rakats behind Maqam Ibrahim. This is what Maqam Ibrahim looks like. There is no virtue of kissing it. There is no virtue of touching it. It's just the footsteps of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam that preserved there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says to pray behind the footsteps behind Maqam Ibrahim, and that's the main virtue of Maqam Ibrahim. This is what the inside of Maqam Ibrahim looks like. The 2 prints of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, they are massive. I wear 15. Those foot size are probably 20 or 25. Now, we're almost done. Back in the day, I remember when I was a young kid, I got to see this. My father took me down into the well of Zamzam. Behind Hajar Aswad, so right here, that is Hajar Aswad. Behind Hajar Aswad, there used to be the well of Zamzam where you would go down. For those of you that went there back in those days, you know how it is. Right now, it's completely covered. There's nothing there. It's completely covered since 2003. They covered this. Why? So that people can do tawaf. They increase the capacity of tawaf. So that's the Zamzam. However, after you do your 2 rakats, you need to drink Zamzam. So the Prophet ﷺ that after he prayed his 2 rakats, he drinks Zamzam. You will see coolers like this. There will be coolers like this, and some of them will say hot or not cold, right? Majority of them will be cold, but there will be those that will be not cold. Now, Zamzam, the Prophet ﷺ would drink Zamzam standing up. The reason for that is so that you can drink more, and you should drink Zamzam facing the Kaaba. In one hadith, Prophet ﷺ says, "Az-Zamzamu lima shuriba lahu bi." Zamzam, it serves the purpose of whatever intention you make. If you make the intention that Allah gives you shifa, Allah cleans your heart, whatever it may be, it serves that purpose. But after you pray your 2 rakats, this is where you will drink your Zamzam water.
But sorry, some of them will say Zamzam water, some others will say drink water, just drinking water, just regular water.
If it's in these coolers,
Zamzam.
if it's in these coolers, most likely 99% of the time it will be Zamzam. Anything else, it's a hit or miss, right? If there's like a watering station, especially in Medina, it will not be. If it's in these coolers, these are particular to Zamzam. They import Zamzam from Makkah all the way to Medina for this purpose. But in Makkah, there will be some places, especially next to the Haram, which will be Zamzam water, which will say Zamzam. But besides that, it will not be Zamzam. My recommendation is, we said a collapsible bottle. The collapsible bottle serves purpose here. When you go, fill up Zamzam. When you go to the Haram, fill up some Zamzam, take it back to your room. While you're there, honestly, especially when you're in Makkah, you should not be drinking anything else. Zamzam, especially water. Okay, if you have some juice or something like that that's different, some soda you may need. Again, I will talk about that later on. You should limit that. Why? Because it gets to your throat. But drink as much as Zamzam as possible. It's free. You're going to pay a lot of money for that here in America. So drink as much as Zamzam. Now, this will be our last slide before we stop. And this is multism, right? The hadith of Abdurrahman bin Safwan that he saw the Prophet ﷺ, he had came out to the Kaaba with his companions, and they were touching the house of the door of the Kaaba to the black stone. This is where the Prophet ﷺ, he put his chest there, and he put his cheek against the Kaaba, and he made dua. The small area between the door and the black stone. Again, this is a very, very high traffic area. Unfortunately, I wouldn't even recommend women to even try. If you would like to touch the Kaaba, honestly speaking, this right here is the best place for you to touch the Kaaba. After Hadim is blocked off. Unless you get inside Hadim. After the Hadim, you have people standing to go inside Hadim. It's going to be very difficult. After Rukn Yamani, you have people lined up to go to Hajj Aswad. Very difficult. It's after the door, from my experience, the key place, pro tip, if you would like to touch the Kaaba, this is where you want to touch the Kaaba. It's easier to get in. Going to Multazam is difficult. Once again, do not go to Multazam in your first Tawaf. Come back later on, we'll talk about that. But I just want to point out where Multazam is. Next, we'll have a short, what time is it? It's 4:26.
Let's take because we have to cover the most important part now. So let's take like a 5-minute break. So we are at 4:26. Let's group at 4:31 sharp, and then we'll discuss.
What time?
Huh?
Inshallah, goal is Asr. I'll try my best. Yes, Asr is 6:15.
So we'll stop at Asr. Sisters' bathrooms are on this side. Men's bathrooms are here. There's a question.
Yes, I have.
No, I think from sister, there's somebody has a question.
For the Tawaf, specifically when we're doing Tawaf, they say that we're not supposed to look at the Kaaba during when we're doing the Tawaf. Is that?
You can. You can. It's not that big of a deal. You should turn to the Kaaba because you should continue counterclockwise. If you look at the Kaaba, it's fine. It's not a deal breaker.
No, someone told me today that before Hajj, if we do Umrah, we have to do the down.
I'll explain that. It's Hadi, but I'll explain that.
So I'm gonna be taking my mom, and she's gonna be mostly in wheelchair, so we won't be able to do like any of it, like touching the stone. Like there's no chance. So like, what should we do? Like, should I try to do it individually or? Okay.
Black stone's very difficult. I've taken trips, even though I've been there so many times. Sometimes I can't do black stone.
So it is fine. Like if I'm with my mom and we cannot get a chance.
Yeah, but if you want to go individually and try, you can try.
Okay.
You can try for Hatim. You can try to touch the Kaaba. That's fine.
Okay.
You know, if you take your mother and she can just walk to the Kaaba and come right back out, we're not doing the full Tawaf, so you don't need the wheelchair. I don't know where her medical condition is.
Yeah.
If she can walk a little bit, I would say take her there, sit her in the back, go touch the Kaaba, give her a little dua, come back, and then leave. That's okay.
And then most of the time, like there is like a second, like first floor where you do.
First floor, I don't think second floor is open. Maybe they might open their Hajj, but first floor is for wheelchairs.
I've done a lot of Umrah, so going for the Hajj for the first time. मैं जाके पाकिस्तान से रहा हूँ, यहाँ से 5 को जाऊँगा, and we're taking a flight. The only question that I have is, as you were talking about, you know, I'm going to Makkah first, of course, going to be there in Azizi and everything. On the slippers, is there a preference on the color? No, right? It doesn't matter. Because मैंने देखा कि अक्सर a lot of people are recommending white, but I found something which is a lot more comfortable, but it's not white. It's
Every black.
Okay.
Every black.
And the other thing you mentioned, Abhi, something has changed where the only time you can be on the ground is in Ihram, right? So there are multiple other times when we have to come in for Tawaf. I think at some point we're going to come back for Al-Widai Tawaf. So we cannot do those on the ground. It has to be done. Unless you put on a Ihram. Is that wrong?
We talk about that.
Exactly.
मुझे पूछना था कि जैसे हज बदल होता है, जैसे मैंने 2 दफ़ा किया है और जैसे मेरे पेरेंट्स ने अपनी ज़िंदगी में कर लिया है, तो अगर मैं चाहूँ तो अपने पेरेंट्स के नाम पे कर सकती हूँ।
मैं अभी इसको जब हज का शुरू मैं वो पढ़ूँ।
अच्छा, और दूसरा इसमें एक चीज़ और भी पूछनी है, जैसे हमने उस टाइम पे किया था, इतना नहीं पता था क्या क्या करना है, तो बेटर है कि हम अपना करें या हज बदल करें। जैसे पाकिस्तान से जाते हैं तो उस जमाने में इतना ज़्यादा नहीं थी अवेयरनेस इन चीज़ों की, तो ये 2 चीज़ें।
I would still say Hajj Badal better.
हज बदल तो पेरेंट्स की जिन्होंने कर लिया तो उनके नाम पे कर सकते हैं।
और कर लिया
हाँ,
तो फिर नहीं करें, फिर अपना खुद करें, उनके नाम पे उम्रा कर लो, तवाफ कर लो।
अच्छा, सही। और अगर जैसे और भी खानदान में जैसे दादी वगैरह उन्होंने नहीं किया तो उनके नाम पे कर। लेकिन ये चीज़ दोबारा मैं पूछूंगी कि जैसे मैंने 2 दफ़ा किया है, उस ज़माने में पाकिस्तान से गई है, इतनी चीज़ों का नहीं पता था।
अगर हज बदल कर लो तो आपको खुद का भी होता है।
हो जाता है।
Just one quick question. I know you might cover that one. See, this time we will be heading to Medina on Friday, right, Nishan? Can you cover the fact that we will pray?
You must not
Pray Jummah at the masjid and go.
वो मेरी वाली खातून आएंगी, वो 5 मिनट का बोलेंगी, बस बार में उनको बोलना है ताकि उनको मैं फारिग कर दूँ, ठीक है? मुझे तो तो फिर आपको अगर ब्रेक वगैरह देना है 5 बजे बैठना, हाँ प्रोग्राम बनते हैं
हर साल होता है। How are you?
Since they did tell me it's important to stay on 5 minutes, I'm going to have my laptop open so I can stay on point and go fast and finish it.
Okay, sure, yeah, please, because we are running late.
Yes, it seems like it. Yes.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Can everybody be seated, please? And Jazakallah, Sheikh Mubeen has been doing a great job, and I'm learning a lot. So we have a sister here, and She's going to talk to everybody for a few minutes about importance of will, because one of the things is that if you're going for Hajj, I mean, there's a recommendation that it's not mandatory or nothing, it does not have any religious implication, but like it's more like advisable that you make some sort of a will before going that. So it's kind of a relevant topic. Again, it's all up to you. It's optional, but something she's going to do.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. All right. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ajma'in. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters, and thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time today. I know we're crunched for time, so I had to cut this in half. So bear with me as I go through and try to hit the relevant points here. My name is Umi Lawan, and I'm an attorney and the founder of Lawan Law Group. And today I'm going to be talking about estate planning, why it's important, especially like brother said here, when you're going for Hajj, as we prepare and get our affairs in order, it's important to leave some sort of will behind so your loved ones know what to do if something happens. So as Muslims, we spend our lives working hard to provide halal income for our families. We try to plan for everything, but we forget about the most important thing. One certainty in life is that none of us will remain here forever, right? So why do we need estate plans? I'm gonna have 5 or 6 points that I'm gonna hit really fast and talk about the reasons why we need an estate plan, especially as Muslims in America, a country where Sharia does not apply at all. So before we talk about that though, real quick, I want you to understand what estate planning is. It really is a proactive plan you make about what happens to your body when you become incapacitated and what happens to your assets and your loved ones when you pass away. And so why do we need it as Muslims? First and foremost, the most important reason is because it's an act of ibadah. For Muslims, it is not merely an expression of individual's love for his family, it's an act of worship, right? Islam has rules relating to the disposition of a person's wealth when they pass away, and they're binding upon us, and it's in the Quran in Surah An-Nisa. So this basically makes estate planning an act of worship for us Muslims. We live in a country here where the laws of intestacy are in conflict with the Islamic inheritance law. For example, non-Muslims are not entitled to inherit from Muslims. Surviving spouses' right, especially in community property states like Texas, can go against Islamic law of inheritance. And men inherit twice the amount that a woman inherits because they're the providers of the family. And then a second important reason is clarifying what assets you actually own. Most of us own assets jointly with our spouses. Therefore, it's really hard to define who owns what. And if you don't know who owns what, how exactly are you going to distribute your assets in accordance with the proper fractions in Islam, right? And then the third reason why we need estate plan as Muslims is understanding exactly how your assets are going to pass on when you actually pass away and making sure that it complies with Islamic inheritance law. So in addition to the requirement in the Quran, we're all familiar with the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, where he stated, it is not permissible for any Muslim who has something to live for 2 nights without having a will and testament written and kept with them. In addition to the Quran and hadith, as Americans, we all have the constitutional right to freedom of speech, freedom of testamentary choice, and freedom of contract. So in other words, we have the right to make our own decisions using the tools like an Islamic will, living trust, and a living will. And a lot of people think just writing out a will on a piece of paper is going to be enough to fulfill that religious obligation. But that's not true. And this is simply because there are so many assets that pass in different ways. Just take, for example, when you own any property jointly with another person, that person automatically receives the possession of that property when you pass away. That could go against Islamic inheritance law. And when you have assets with financial institutions where you name beneficiaries, those beneficiaries receive those assets once you pass away. And that could definitely affect the distribution of assets under Islamic law. So the easiest way to set up Sharia compliant estate plan, and that's what I advise my clients, is to set up a revocable living trust. and to fund that trust, meaning you put all of your assets in there, and then you can stipulate exactly what you want to happen when each spouse passes away and who is going to be in charge of that. And that will keep your family out of court completely as well. And then the fourth thing I want to touch on is ensuring that your minor kids are taken care of by the people you trust, and they do not end up with foster care or CPS. I see so many families, something happens to them and then their kids end up in foster care. So you get to put that in the documents, make it legally binding. People you trust and they share the same values as you will be taking care of your children. And then the number 5 reason is our faith also dictates a client may make decisions with respect to their end of life choices, right? And it's quite different from what the laws are in Texas. And you can easily accomplish that using these legal documents we've been talking about. And then finally, you get to specify your wishes when it comes to funeral, burial arrangement, and organ donation, especially if you have non-Muslim family members, right? So that you can avoid family conflict when something happens to you. So our goal when we sit down with you is to understand your goals and objectives and to use core estate planning tools like wills, trusts, and living will to customize your plan to fit your goals, and most importantly, to satisfy your religious obligations and to make sure that your plan is Sharia compliant. So come over here to our table. We have it set up out there. If you haven't already, schedule a free consultation with us. Leave your name for a chance to get a free Islamic will. And we also have free goodies there and resources for you. Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time here. Any questions, real quick?
Jazakallah, we have to
Yes.
start the session.
Yes.
Do you have business cards?
I do have business cards out there, and considering there's a time crunch, if you're leaving for Hajj, you need an Islamic will, you haven't set up one, we can accommodate that and expedite the process for you. Yes.
Maybe you can do a more separate detailed session.
Yes.
With the masjid.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that.
But if anybody wants to.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much. Jazakumullah khair.
All right. Bismillah. So at this point, your tawaf is complete, and now you will move to the next part, which is sa'i. Sa'i is wajib. You have to do sa'i between Safa and Marwa. I will give you a very, very important pro tip here. Make sure you do this when you do sa'i. Right. Make sure you do this when you do your sa'i. After you finish your tawaf, you will end up at the beginning of Hatim, all the way in the back. And there will be big signs this way to sa'i. There'll be a ramp that you will go to, and that will lead you to the Masa. Masa is the area where sa'i takes place. First of all, you don't need wudu in sa'i. If you do sa'i outside of wudu, that's completely fine. It's okay. You can wear your shoes, not shoes, but slippers. Right? Women can wear shoes, men can wear their slippers if need be. The very important pro tip is do not perform sa'i on the ground floor. Once again, do not perform sa'i on the ground floor, and I'll explain why. Right, so this is right here a picture of what the Masa looks like. You start there on Safa, you come to Marwa. I'll have some pictures of what Safa looks like, what Marwa looks like. But the reason why I have this is what ground floor sa'i looks like. It also has an incline on both sides, which means a decline on both sides. Tawaf is easy. Tawaf is the easier part. The hard part of Umrah is sa'i. If you're adding an incline and you're adding a decline and you're adding all of that crowd, most likely in your mind, you will be thinking, when will I be done? Which takes away from the essence of your sa'i. That's why my 100% pro tip that whenever I take a group, any other group, there's no, we'll do a ground floor. Absolutely not. This is what you need to do. You will enter into the Masa in this area. You will start your sa'i, or you can cut through This right here, you can see the little square right here? That is the escalators to go up to the first floor. Go up to the first floor. When you go up to the first floor, then go back to Safa and start your sa'i there. And the reason being is, this is sa'i on the second floor. Now it won't be this empty. Right? First floor, this is what sa'i second floor looks like. Much lighter on the crowd. And the purpose behind this is so that you can focus on your ibadah. You're still in the state of Ihram. You still should be making your du'as. So 100%, please, please, please do not do dua on the first floor, because it will be taxing, the crowd will be a lot, it will take away from the essence. Every time I've taken someone, they're like, wow, this is much better. Go to the second floor. I've shown you right here, if you see an arrow, I put an arrow, that block right there, that's where the escalators are. It takes you to the first floor, it takes you to the second floor. Just go up and do your sa'i there. Right. Once again, sa'i, it does not have to be in the state of Ihram. You will start at Safa, you go to Marwa, and that is one. So you start at Safa, you go to Marwa, that is one. You don't need to go a lap. Safa to Marwa, one. Now, you don't need to go around the mountain. First floor is not possible. Second floor, because there's a gap opening, what people do, they go around the mountain, around the circle. That's not needed either. Just go to the mountain and then go back. So simple. Let's say that's Safa. You don't have to go all the way around Safa. Go to Marwa, one, back, two, 7 of these, which means you will end up on Marwa. And the fun part is you have to do a free 8th, because all the hotels are that way. So you have to go all the way back. Now, what I recommend is maybe do that outside, because outside the crowd will be even less. Depending on the daytime, if it's hot outside, then do it inside. If it's cold outside nighttime, then you can do it outside. The green lights, men will run between the green light. They won't run, not sprint, but a fast-paced jog. Women will not do so. I recommend people that after you pass the green light, slow down so that your spouse or whoever you're doing the Umrah with, they can catch up with you. You start at Safa, you face the Kaaba, and you do any dua that you like. Keep yourself engaged in some sort of dua. Well, I tell people, again, planning out your sa'i the way that you planned out your tawaf. If you are going as a couple, husband and wife, then what I tell people is that from Safa to Marwa, the husband makes dua and the wife says Ameen, and Marwa back, the wife makes dua and the husband says Ameen. Remember, this whole thing, Hajj is about family. It's about the family of Ibrahim والسلام, the rituals that they perform. So perform this Hajj as a family. While you're doing the sa'i, do it together. This is something that you remember when you did Tawaf Hajj with so-and-so person. That connection, Salahuddin and I, we did Umrah many years ago, and that connection is always there. So keep that in mind when you're doing your sa'i. Now, any type of dua is fine, any type of Quran reading is fine, there's nothing particular. You get to Safa, face the Qibla, dua, continue, get to Marwa, face the Qibla, dua, continue. You don't need to go around. If you like to stop in between, you can stop. If Salah time comes, all the marbles are facing the Kaaba. So if you need to pray, just follow along on the marble, you can pray there. If you like to get some water, there are some tanks. Let me see if I have a picture. Along this side, there will be Zamzam tanks. In between will be the wheelchair. So if you have somebody doing a wheelchair, they'll be in between there. They won't be on the outside portion. Right. So this is what the ground floor looks like. An area view, that yellow arrow shows where the escalators are. Second floor, the green lights. This is what we talked about before. You start with Allah Akbar, La ilaha illallah. When you first do your initial one, you run between the green lights, all that's already been covered. This is what the green lights look like. We'll be running on top. This is the only portion that you'll be running. Do not run. We did Umrah this last year, and one of the boys, he just enjoys running, so he ran the whole thing. And I said to his father, like, what is he doing? He's like, yeah, he just likes to run. I go, okay. But you're not supposed to run the full length of Sa'i. This is where the ground floor, what it looks like. The mountain is closed off. You can't go on the mountain. Before, people would go climb up the mountain, and there were some incidents. But the mountain now is closed off. So there's 3 devices here. Some of them are working, some of them are not working. This is the Marwa mountain. Again, once again, it's closed off. Right after standing on Marwa the 7th time, it's mustahab to pray 2 rakats there. After you finish your Sa'i, after you finish that Sa'i, again, women will not run. After you finish Sa'i, you will pray 2 rakats. Remember, you do not need to go around the mountain. Finally, stop, sit down, relax for a moment, have a dua. This is your Umrah is almost complete. There's only 1 step left. So at Marwa, sit for a little bit, have a nice long dua. That's what I would recommend. Now, miscellaneous rulings that we talked about, you don't need to do wudu. You should engage yourself in some sort of dua. If Salah starts, you can take a break. That's permissible. Then you continue afterwards. After this comes the haircut. Now, the question comes up that if you are doing Umrah, should you trim your hair or cut your hair because you will do Hajj and you'll need to cut your hair again? Honestly, shave it both times. There may be nothing left the second time, but that's fine. They ritually just run the blade over your head, and whatever little fibers of hair you have, they'll take that off. So I would recommend shave it both times. The Prophet ﷺ, if for some reason you cannot shave your head and you like to cut your hair, that's fine. In one hadith, Rasulullah ﷺ says, a person who cuts their hair, trims their hair, they get 1 reward. A person who shaves their hair, they get 2 rewards. For men, it has to be 1 inch from all over. So if you have a high fade, a high blade fade, a 0 fade, then you have to go bald. But if you have 1 inch that can be cut from all over, then you can cut 1 inch from all over and you're fine. For women, you wrap your hair around your finger, cut. Right? It doesn't have to be from all the way around. It can be just from one place. If you like to do from all the way around, that's fine. For women, now this gets a little bit tricky. Can you cut your own hair to exit state of Ihram? No. Obviously, yes, you're the law, right? Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with a bunch of women that, who's going to cut who's there? Someone has to get out of state of Ihram. But a man, a person that's in Ihram cannot cut somebody's hair that's out of Ihram. So let's say my wife is with me and I'm in Ihram, I can't cut her hair. Or my wife, she can't cut my daughter's hair because she's in the state of Ihram. She can cut her own hair, she exits the state of Ihram, and then she can cut the rest of our daughter's hair. Right? So you can cut your own hair, but if you are in Ihram, you can't cut somebody else's hair in Ihram. Women you don't need to do it there. Go up to your room, go up to the hotel room. Like I said, make sure you have a pair of scissors. You can do it in the hotel room. That's fine. Now, just.
So, I mean, if somebody, like for men who has decent hair on head, like not somebody like me. So if you shave your head now, and then during Hajj, won't it cause like heat stroke, not having hair and bald head? I mean, it will protect you a little bit from sun, right? So it's better to do it later to protect.
I'm naturally bald, so it doesn't cause much of a heat stroke. Sometimes if you're in this heat a lot, some skin may burn, but it's fine. If that's the case, use an umbrella. Yeah, that's what I would recommend. Go ahead and shave it, and then shave it a second time. It should be okay. Right now, as for the barbers, understand where your hotel is. For example, if your hotel is in the clock tower, as soon as you leave Safa Marwa, people will come and grab you and say, come, I'll cut your hair, we'll cut your hair, we'll cut your hair. Make sure your barber is at your building. So if you are staying in the clock tower, ask them where their shop is. It may be that they take you to Jabal Umar and you live in the clock tower, or vice versa. Right? So if you are staying in Jabal Umar, for example, the Conrad, the Hilton Residence, these are all in Jabal Umar. So if you're staying there, they only go to a barber that's at Jabal Umar. And if you're staying in the clock tower, go to a barber that's in the clock tower. They will always use a fresh blade. Most of the time they'll use 2 blades, right? So they're very good at that. Now, a question comes up, what if they put some sort of fragrance on your hair? Some sort of spray? That's fine. That's okay. It's not a big deal. But remember, they do only take cash. So make sure you have some riyals with you. If you like to keep the ihram and use it later on, you can keep the ihram and use it later on. One question that came up earlier, how many ihrams should you take? Right. Ideally, I take 1.5. 1.5 means the set like that, and I take my bottom piece that I have sewn from America. That way I have 1 bottom, 2 tops. If I need to take a top, I can take a top. If I need to use one of the tops as a bottom, I can use the top as a bottom. You don't need more than 2 ihrams, right? It's good to have a backup, but more than that, I wouldn't recommend it. After this, after you get your haircut in the barbers, again, once again, make sure it's at your building. Now you are out of the state of ihram. You can go, you will have the best shower of your life. Even though you've been at ihram for maybe like 12 hours, 15 hours, but that shower will be amazing, and that nap will be amazing afterwards. Go, take a shower, freshen up, get some rest. Now, when it comes to women, a few different questions come up. What if a woman enters into Medina outside of the state of purity? She's not in her purity, she's on her cycle, and she enters into Medina. The rules that apply, she will not be able to go into the masjid for the sake of worship. For the sake of worship. Scholars give permission for the sake of visitation, she is allowed. To go for ziyarah, to go and say salam, to go to al-Jannah. But she cannot go for the sake of worship. Again, this is a exception that scholars have made. Why? Because you're going there for 3 days, and you may be in your cycle throughout the whole time. Does that mean that you stay in the hotel the whole 3 days and not go to the Prophet ﷺ's grave? The scholars have made an exception that if you are in your cycle, then you will only go for the sake of visitation. Now, when you come into Makkah, let's say you're in your cycle when you come into Makkah. In that case, you will not perform your Umrah, right? And now we break this down in a few different ways. If your cycle is going to last all the way until Hajj, then you should not be doing tamattu. Do Ihram. With me? So the 3 Hajj I'm going to go over. If there's a lady that is on her cycle, and her cycle will remain until the day of Hajj, she should not be doing Qiran, she should not be doing Tamattu, she should only do Ifrad, because Ifrad means there's no Umrah beforehand. You go into Makkah in the state of Ihram, you will be in the state of Ihram for 3-4 days until you do not perform your Hajj. But you have to enter into Miqat in the state of Ihram. So for women that are on their cycles, that's how it will be. You can go to Sa'i area. Sa'i area is outside the masjid. You can go there. You can sit in the sahan. In Medina, you can sit in the sahan. That's fine. Right. So that's some rulings when it comes to women that are on their cycle. Now, the next part is Hajj. I know this is long and tedious, and we're just getting to the main part right now, but inshallah, bear with me. I'm going to try to speed up as much as I can, but I want to make sure that we cover everything. Again, Hajj is a big part of this journey. This slide right here is just an overview of what Hajj looks like. If you have to take a picture, you can take a picture. I won't be going through everything here. I'll be breaking down things day by day in the next few slides. Right. Sheikh Salah talked about the reward of performing Hajj, so I'm going to jump over that part. The 3 different types of Hajj. Number 1 is Hajj Qiran. Hajj Qiran is basically when you do Umrah, You keep on your ihram. You do not cut your hair. Yes.
Are you going to post these slides somewhere?
So
we will, the video is being recorded, right? So we will do the video and then we'll insert slides in there. So it will be within the video.
And I think there may be a WhatsApp group that they all have.
Already created.
So the first type of Hajj is, again, you perform your Umrah and you do not cut your hair. And you stay in Ihram until Hajj, and you do Hajj. So it's Hajj and Umrah together in one Ihram. Now, the discussion comes, is this better or is it better to do Hajj Tamattu? And I'll explain Hajj Tamattu. Basically, it's two Hajj and Umrah in separate Ihrams. Scholars are on both sides. Some scholars say that this is better, some scholars say that is better. Based off of your itinerary, you may not have an option. If your itinerary gets into Makkah in the final moments, then you have to do Hajj Ifrad. You can't do Umrah. There's no time to do Umrah beforehand. If you get in and you have like a couple hours, then there's no point doing Hajj Tamattu because you're going to get out of Sayyid Ihram and then go straight back into the Sayyid Ihram. Sometimes I got there to Makkah late, because of which I just continued in, I did my Umrah. I didn't leave Ihram. A few hours later, we got into
I have a suggestion to save time. That is anybody doing other Hajj other than Hajj Tamattu? Please raise your hand. We don't even know what the difference is. Oh, you don't know? Then we can go through it. Because most of the people who go from North America do Hajj Tamattu. Yeah. So if otherwise we'll skip the session or we will go through this session because in Tehran you have to take your quota from here.
No. I don't think Turkish airline allows anything but Turkey.
I think everybody will be doing Hajj Tamattu, so you can just talk about that and then go to the Hajj.
So the reason why I have these two slides, I only have two slides, is that it's a game time decision. For women that are on their cycle, they're going to have to do Ifrad. Based off what time you get in, you may have to do Qiran. Right now, you can say, yes, I'm going to do Tamattu, but you don't. So it will be a game time decision. Tamattu, once again, this is why I explained earlier, after Umrah, you leave the state of Haram, you chill in Makkah for as long as you need, and the day of Hajj, you put on your Ihram again, and then you have Hajj Ifrad. Ifrad basically is just one, this should be Ifrad, not Qiran, but this should be Ifrad, is where you don't do Umrah beforehand. You can do Umrah afterwards, but you don't do Umrah beforehand. The title there is incorrect. Right? So that's Ifrad. In Ifrad now, the key thing is, in Qiran and Tamattu, you have to sacrifice. Any Hajj that has an Umrah beforehand, you have to pay for a sacrifice. You do not need to take it from America. You just pay the money there and they sacrifice on your behalf. If you would like to save some money, it is what it is. And you do it Ifrad, then you save some money. You don't have to do Hadi. You don't have to sacrifice. Now, Eid al-Adha requires a sacrifice for a person that has the money. However, because all of us here, inshallah, will be traveling, we will be exempt from that. So you don't have to make two sacrifices, one of Hajj and one of Eid al-Adha. Eid al-Adha sacrifice is we are exempt.
So just on that, I try to do a little research. It doesn't have to be, even if you're capable and you have the funds, and if you can afford it, you don't need to.
You don't need to. For the sacrifice of Eid al-Adha. But if you're doing Qiran or Tamattu, then you have to do a sacrifice. Right? If you're doing Qiran or Tamattu, you have to do a sacrifice. Ifrad, there will be no sacrifice. This right here is an overview of everything that we had an overview of Umrah. This is an overview of the whole Hajj. Ihram of Hajj, of course, that's mandatory. On the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, we will be in Mina. That is Sunnah. For some reason, you can't make it to Mina. Without something Allah prohibit, you're in the hospital, a loved one in the hospital, and you can't make it to Mina, that's fine. The 9th in Arafah, that is mandatory. Follow. It is the pillars of Hajj. You have to do.
Yeah. 8th, the Mina day is falling on Friday.
Yes. So in Mina, will we perform Salat al-Jumu'ah? That's the question, right?
Yeah. Can we pray and then go?
No. So ideally, what you want is you leave for Mina after Fajr Salah on the 8th. After Fajr Salah, so you will put on your Ihram. So we'll come to the next slides. You will put on your Ihram from your hotel. You don't have to go to the Miqat. The Hajj Ihram is put on from your hotel. After Fajr Salah, you put it on. Whenever your bus is ready, whenever your train is, whatever your mode of transportation is ready, they will take you to Mina. They will drop you off to your tents. Once you get into your tents, again, you will not take your you will take your carry-on, your backpack, and your shoe bag, not your hand check. You're not your check-in bag. So you will not pay Jummah that day, right? Even in your tent, most likely, if your scholar says, then go with it. But we don't pray. If we get to the 8th in Jummah, we do not pray Jummah in our tents, right? Wukuf in Muzdalifah, man, it's wajib. I'll tell you what the wukuf is. The wukuf time in Arafah, it starts after Zuhr Salah all the way to Maghrib Salah. The wukuf time in Muzdalifah, and we'll get to these slides, is after Fajr Salah. And then on the 10th, which is our busiest day, you will go to Mina, you will do Rami, pelting the big shaitan, you will sacrifice. Again, we do not sacrifice, we give the money, it gets taken care of. Sometimes your group leader will tell you your sacrifice has been done. You will shave your head, exit the state of Ihram, and then comes Tawaf al-Ziyarah. Tawaf al-Ziyarah, it can be done on the 10th. However, I do not recommend it because everybody's going to try to do it then. I remember one year I had to go because sometimes you have to go. For example, we had women that were going to enter into their cycle anytime, so we had to take them as soon as possible and have them do their Tawaf al-Ziyarah, because Tawaf al-Ziyarah is a mandatory, it's one of the pillars. The Salah is a requirement of Hajj, so we had to take them as soon as possible to do their Tawaf al-Ziyarah. One time I went, I started my Tawaf al-Ziyarah, I did 3 rounds, I had to stop. Because for 2 hours, I was in the exact same spot. So I had to leave. So the 10th of Dhul Hijjah is a very, very busy time. Ideally, maybe come on the 11th, maybe come at night, late at night at 10th, and get done.
So do we need to wait till the, for the Udhiyah to wait, or no, we can go directly?
You can go directly. Yeah, so there used to be a discussion of order, but now scholars have removed that because we don't sacrifice ourselves anymore. And getting the confirmation of when your sacrifice is done is next to impossible. That's why you can just go. Now, cutting your hair will take you outside the state of Ihram. This is where Aziziyah comes in. Aziziyah comes in because once you pelt shaitan, you can go to Aziziyah. You have your apartment, you have your luggage there, you have everything there, you have your bathroom. You don't have to go to the public bathroom. Shower up, cut your hair, get food, sleep in the air condition on your bed, and you're relaxing. Again, this is why I'm a big advocate for Aziziyah. You're chilling in your hotel, then you need to come back and spend the night in Mina. And this is where Wukuf in Mina happens. On the 11th, you will pelt all 3 of the Jamarat. On the 12th, you will pelt all 3 of the Jamarat. You can leave before sunset on the 12th. However, if you stay in Mina on the 13th, then you have to pelt again. And we'll talk about this in the slide. This is just the overview. And then the final step of Hajj is Tawaf al-Wada. Again, this is mandatory upon men. We will have slides on this later on.
One animal per person or one per family?
One animal per person.
So 5 people from one family are going to 5 animals.
Yes. And it's usually included in your Hajj. Like they give you a receipt for it. Yeah, it's extra. Yeah, so it's a couple $100. Yeah. This is entering into the State of Haram. We've already talked about this. 8th of Dhul Hijjah right here. 8th of Dhul Hijjah after Fajr, you leave for Makkah. If you get there a little late, that's fine. It's okay. It's permissible. What should you be doing in Mina? You will pray Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and then next day Fajr. Yes.
Are we gonna do like attire on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah in Mina, or we'll be doing that for?
Sorry? Qasr. Yeah. If you're in your tent, you do Qasr. You're traveling. Yeah, so you do qasr throughout the whole trip as long as you're not praying Jamaat in front of the Imam, behind the Imam. Yes. Combining prayers is on the 9th, the next day, right? So on this day, you'll pray each of the prayers in their time. Zohar, the 4 salahs on the 8th, and the 5th salah on the 9th, Fajr salah. Now, sometimes you're not able to pray Fajr salah. You should pray your Fajr salah in Mina, but sometimes because of your train and when your train is scheduled, a few times I've had to pray on the train station, and sometimes they make us go and you have to go. And that's fine, right? But ideally, you want to pray the Fajr of the 9th in Mina. Now, what should you be doing then? This is an important part. This part of the 8th is preparation for Hajj. It's to get you into the zone for Hajj, where you're now cutting out all the other distractions. You prepare yourself spiritually, you prepare yourself mentally, you get yourself in the state of worship, you work on your dua list. Your dua list is very important, right? Writing down all your duas, going over what duas you have, because the next day you have a very short period of wuquf in Arafah, which is the main part of your dua. So you, in Mina, read some Quran, do some azkar. Now, I still talk about this. Food in the days of Hajj. Food in the days of Hajj, whether you are in the VIP tents, Al-Qabsh, or you're in Al-Mu'aysim, eat as little as possible. If you are outside in the VIP tents, and they have those lavish buffets, bear in mind that that food did not just come out. It may have been outside for a few hours in the heat. So just be a little mindful of what you're eating. The last thing you want is to have an upset stomach on these days. Especially 8th and 9th. 8th and 9th are very important because in Mina you have bathrooms. They're right there by your tent. Your tents are nice. And I'll show the tents, how the tents are. Because you're staying in Mina for an extended period of time, the tents are air conditioned. They're nicer. There are a lot of facilities there. In Arafah, because you're staying there for a few hours, the bathrooms aren't as nice and they're not as readily available. And Muzdalifah, it's even less. Now, alhamdulillah, they made more bathrooms. But I remember back in the day, if you had to go to the bathroom in Mina, you get a water bottle, head off to the mountains. That's the only way that you could. That's right.
So in Mina, are the bathrooms same for everybody, like same type, or the VIP classes have better bathrooms and the other classes?
It's pretty much the same. The only thing that they would probably add, the VIPs some of the groups, not all the groups, will have somebody that will go and clean the bathroom in between. But it's generally just a small stall. They have the American toilets where you sit, they have the spa toilets. On top, they have a shower head, and that's about it.
Okay, but bathroom is like a common area where everybody goes, or like is it like
it's per
group
camp?
Have your camp?
Per camp, not per group, per camp. So each tent will have maybe 50 to 100. It's usually 50 per tent, 25 and 25, and I'll have some pictures later on. 25 along this side, 25 along that side. That's one camp. That's one tent. And then they'll have like 50 or so tents like that. And they will all have maybe 2 or 3 sets of bathrooms, which will be 10 for men in one set and 10 for women on the other set. And on the side, they'll have wudu areas. But once again, try to eat as less as possible. Maybe some snacks, some dry fruit, some nuts. That's it. Make sure you hydrate yourself, right? Drink as much as water as possible. We talked about Propel. We talked about Gatorade. You can get Gatorade powder. I take Gatorade powder from here. That's really important. You will see these signs everywhere that says Mina starts here. I'm not sure how it is now, but back in the day, the American tents were not in Mina. They're actually in Muzdalifah. So the American tents will be here, and we will see the sign that says Mina starts there. But that's how the Saudi government, unfortunately, is how busy. Yes, there are still tents. This is what the tents look like. In '96, there was a huge fire. My parents were there when it happened. Back in those days.
Sorry,
In Muzdalifah, they'll have sufficient water or easy access to get water to drink.
Drinking water, they have water bottles everywhere. But I would say maybe take a few extra bottles with you from Arafah. Yeah, Arafah, they'll have more. Mina, Muzdalifah, they might have less, but I usually just keep where I can, when I'm leaving Mina, I'll take a few extra bottles, put in my bag, and just keep it. In 96.
Did you go back to the first day, 8? So, when you were talking about the Azizia, you were talking about going from Azizia to here?
Not here.
Not here.
Not yet.
Okay.
That's on the 10th.
That's on the 10th.
Yeah.
Why did you mention train?
When you leave from the 9th morning, either you go by bus or you go by tram. So there is this tram that runs from Mina to Arafah, and Arafah to Muzdalifah, and Muzdalifah back to Mina. So on the 9th, when you leave here, you may have the tram, and you may have the bus. If you have buses, then you go by bus. It'd be a longer thing. If you have the trams, they'll give you wristbands for it. You go to the tram station, you hold up your wristband, and they'll let you in. Yes.
I think provide more clarity on that. I think if you're in Al Muazzam camp, you're going by bus. And then if you're in the VIP camp, you're going by train by default.
Because there's a train station, the tram station that's right there. So this is what the tents look like. Before they would allow people to cook in their tents. In 96, there was a cylinder that popped, and this caused a chain reaction, and there was a huge loss of life. And after that, they have these tents which are fireproof. There's no cooking that's done in the tents. Your muallim, like your tent number, you pay a fee, a Hajj fee for that. They take care of your food and they deliver the food to you in the tents. This is an aerial view of what the tents look like. It's as far as the eyes can see. And this is just a portion. On the other side of the mountain, there are other tents as well. It's divided based off of where you come from. They have the South Asian tents, they have the African tents, they have the East Asian tents, the North American tents, and Europe tents, which is now called Al-Mu'aysim. And then you have the VIPs who are the brothers, the neighbors of Shaitan that live close to. This is what the camps look like in between. So, like Nasib had asked, you will have a bunch of these tents, and they all camp together, and that camp will have a few bathrooms. Now, what I would recommend is when you get there, go for a walk. It may be outside of your camp, there may be another set of bathrooms, or there may be a wudu area. Where in your camp, it'll be busy, but just outside, you will need to. There may be another set bathroom where you can go, and you can easily get in. There'll be coolers there. These coolers will usually have water or juices. This is what the tents look like inside. Each of these beds, they fold up and become a chair. Behind it, you put your carry-on, your backpack. At nighttime, you open it up and you go to sleep. So this is what the inside, usually there'll be a pillow that will come and one of these cushions that turn into a chair. This is what the inside looks like. On the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, after Fajr Salah, you will go to Arafah. Once you get to Arafah, go to sleep. Because Wuquf does not start until after Zuhr time starts. It's the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ did ghusl here. So if you go to the restroom before Wuquf, if you need to, before Wuquf, sleep, get there, have breakfast first. There'll be breakfast ready, have breakfast. Wake up, go to the restroom, shower, come back, pray your Zohar and Asr time. Zohar and Asr will be combined here. They'll pray together. And the reason why we're combining is so that you can maximize on your dua. So that you have more time making your dua on the 9th of the Hijjah. This is where the takbirat start. The takbirat of the tashriq. From the 9th of the Hijjah until the 13th, we do this here in America as well, so it's nothing extra. After Asr, after you pray Zuhr and Asr together, you start your du'as. You will do your du'as inside the tent, and if you can bear the heat, then a little bit outside, a little bit inside. Arafah is usually where people face dehydration because they're going outside. It's extremely hot, so make sure you have, once again, Propel, Gatorade, you're hydrating yourself. If you need to come back and get some food, you come back and get some food. Keep it light, maybe some fruit, and that should be enough. Now, we talked about the pool. You must stay within the boundaries. Even if it's for a little bit of time, that's fine. So what the Saudi government does is that if there's anybody that's in the hospitals on the 9th of the Hijjah, what they do is they helicopter them in, land the helicopter, have them stay for a little bit, and helicopter them out. Just so that they get a little bit of time in Arafat. Why? Because this is one of the pillars of Hajj. Right? Arafat starts here. Now, in Arafat, there are two things that stick out. Sorry. Masjid Nimra and Jabal Rahmah. Masjid Nimra, do not go look for Masjid Nimra for a few reasons. Number one, it's going to be extremely packed. Half of Masjid Nimra is not in Arafat. The sign says Arafat interior, and you have to be in Arafat. This is mandatory. So going outside of Arafat is not, your wukuf will not count. Right? So do not go looking for Masjid Nimra because, number one, it'll be extremely crowded. You will easily get lost. All the tents look the same. And there'll be numbers, but those numbers will be for American tents, and then you'll see numbers for that set of tents and that set of tents, so your number will be repeated. So easy to get lost. Jabal Rahmah, and that is the white monument. This is where the Prophet ﷺ, he himself stood when he did his wukuf and he made dua. If you can get there, it's okay. But don't go out your way. My brother, one Hajj, we were eating, he's like, man, this is a little bit bland. I wish we had some hot sauce. So I said, I'll go find my brother some hot sauce. And I went walking, and I came back, and I go, I didn't find hot sauce, but I found Jabal Rahmah right there. And it was right behind our tent. So we took the group there to Jabal Rahmah. In that case, it's fine. Again, don't go looking for it. It may be far, it may be difficult, and you don't want to, I've seen people that went to Jabal Rahmah or went to Masjid Nimra, and because of how hot it is, they came back and slept the rest of the time at wukuf. They came back dehydrated, so the rest of the time they were just exhausted. So save yourself that. Again, this is what it looks like. Aerial view on the day of Hajj. Completely packed. That white monument that you see right there, that is Jabal Rahmah. This is what the inside of some of the Arafat tents will look like. Now you see they're massive tents, and you probably have 100, 200 people within each tent. Some of the tents will have these bedding, some of them won't. Should you take a sleeping bag? Honestly, the only time that you need a sleeping bag is Muzdalifah, right? Because you're outside. Honestly, but if you have like a blanket, it's sufficient. It's just overnight.
So Jabal Rahmah is like a hill.
Yes.
So I heard somewhere that, and I think probably if you said something and I missed it, that there's no need to climb up the hill. It's not part of Arafat or so. Even if you see people climbing, don't do that because it's very hot and you can.
It's very hot. It's an easy climb. It's not a mountain. It's an easy climb. If you want to just go, it's right there. Then go for it. But don't go out of your way. Like I said, you can get exhausted and dehydrated. This is what Masjid Nimra looks like. This masjid is only open for 4 hours throughout the whole year. Throughout the whole year, this masjid is open only for 4 hours, just during on the 9th of the Hijjah.
So there will be loudspeakers all around Arafat, so we can pray anywhere we are located.
You will pray in your tents.
But there'll be loudspeakers, azan, and all that.
No.
Namaz.
In your tents, the group scholar that you are assigned to, they will lead salah. They will have reminders. They'll have somebody do that.
Same in Medina as well.
Yes. So in each tent they'll have their own separate salahs. There won't be a joint salah anywhere. Saban?
Are there boundaries at Arafat where that you'll know that you're?
Those signs that I showed before, those will be the signs that will show where the boundaries are.
some people say, like, in Masjid Nimra, there will be khutbah, right?
Yes.
So it's mandatory to hear or in your
No, there's no khutbah. In the tents, there's no khutbah. The imam may give a small talk, motivation talk, but the purpose of Arafah is not motivation. This is game time, dua time. The imam may do a joint dua, and that's just motivation again. You need to do your own dua. Zohar and Asr will be joined together, but there won't be a khutbah. They may have some sort of talk, but that's not the main purpose. You do your own dua. This is the main. This is the main part of Hajj. The main part of Hajj is a ninth and Arafah from Asr, after Asr prayer until you leave. So that's where all your dua, like let it pour. Just open your heart in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It'd be 5-6 hours, you may get tired, hydrate yourself, and just continue making your own dua. Don't look for what your group is doing, don't look for what somebody else is doing. You have your tasbih that you're reading, you have your book that you have in front of you, that your duas are on, and you go and make dua.
You said after Zohar or after Asr?
Zohar and Asr together.
No. When you start praying, that's after Zohar.
So we pray Zohar and Asr together, and
for duas and everything, that's after Zohar.
So because Zohar and Asr are prayed together in the Zohar time, so after Asr is started. After you pray Asr, but it will be in Zohar time.
Right.
So roughly 12:30 or so, the Imam in their tent will pray Zohar, and then he'll pray Asr, and then you do.
Then we do the Arafah chant, can we do the Nafil Salah and make dua during the Salah?
You can. So now that brings another question. Can you do dua in another language in the full time? Yeah, it has to be in Arabic.
No, I can do the Arabic.
Yeah. Or if you want to just go and sit down and do dua in your language, that's fine as well. Yes.
Can we listen to the khutbah, half of that khutbah in English? Some way we can.
Usually the tent that you will be in will have an English-speaking scholar that will give some sort of motivation talk. But once again, the purpose here is not motivation. The purpose here is just do your...
Staying there and spending time.
Yes. Wukuf means standing. Wukuf actually means to stand. So stand and make your dua.
Dua on stand-up position, or you can sit and then make dua as well?
A little bit of both. I stand up, get tired. Standing for 5-6 hours straight is difficult. So sit down a little bit. Maybe you need to lay down. I suggest not to lay down so you don't fall asleep. Stand up in your tent. Stand up outside your tent. Find a shaded area. Just keep changing your position. That way, you don't get tired as well, and you stay active. Right. Again, try to take care of bathroom beforehand. If they give food, lightly eat food. Please lightly eat food because that food will be in your stomach when you go to Muzdalifah, which can cause problems.
One more question. Are you supposed to be in by wudu during all that time?
You don't need to. No. Because if you break wudu, then the wudu lines, and that will take a lot of time as well. So that's why you don't need to.
I think some sisters have some questions.
Yes.
Do we pay Qasr Salah?
Yes, Qasr Salah. Because you'll be there for less than 15 days. So Qasr Salah. In Masjid Nimra, they don't pray Qasr Salah. Again, don't worry about Masjid Nimra. But in your tents, they will pray.
Take this might be a technical question. In Arafah, the women and the men there have separate tents.
Mm-hmm. Yes, separate tents. Even in Mina, separate tents. In Muzdalifah, everyone will be kind of swapped together. Some of the tents will say, okay, women on that side, men on this side, Muzdalifah, but everywhere else, Arafah, Mina, there'll be separate tents.
But your group is going to
close by,
here on the same.
Mm-hmm. So you have one tent here, or across will be the women's tent, or around.
I don't want to hold somebody else.
Yeah.
So in Arafah, you can pray with your family the whole time, but only in the tents you will be separate.
Yes. So what I do is I'll tell my wife, or when I went with my mother, to come outside, and we stood outside together mid dua.
Do they give you cell phones and SIM cards that work there individually, or?
It depends what you take. Yeah, that's up to you. Either you take T-Mobile, AT&T, you buy a SIM card from there. Yeah. I have AT&T. Yeah, I mean it's $10 a day. T-Mobile is free. You call and get your international plan, or you buy a SIM card from there. It works.
Once you go there, it's going to be Saudi Telecom or whatever.
Make sure you have internet, because most likely your group will communicate through WhatsApp and Telegram. The majority of the groups communicate through these two means. You will not pray Maghrib in Arafah. You will not pray Maghrib in Arafah once. Maghrib time starts, then you can relax. Wukuf is done. You want to go to the bathroom, you want to sit down, eat, chill, talk, whatever. Your wukuf is done. You still will not pray Maghrib. You will go to Muzdalifah. Wait until your bus is there, or wait until the train is ready for you. Go to the train station. The train station will take you to Muzdalifah.
And these plugs that we have international, we have to carry, or American plugs will work?
No, you have to carry the international ones. So you can get a $10 converter off of Amazon, which will have the USB-C and USB slots, and it will have where you can plug in the American plugs, and it will go to European and international. So this will be the sign that you'll see where Muzdalifah starts. Now, in Muzdalifah, once you get to Muzdalifah, you will now pray Maghrib and Isha together. The Imam will have one Azan called and one Iqamah called. So it will be done with one Iqamah, one Azan. He will pray 3 rakats of Maghrib, a 2-second break, and then 2 rakats of Isha Salah. And this is where your wukuf of Muzdalifah does not start. Wukuf of Muzdalifah is after Fajr Salah. The only thing that you need to do at this point is collect your stones, and I'll go over how many stones that you need to collect. You do not need to pray the sunnahs after Maghrib Salah, right? So the sunnah after.
On the, when you're done at the Maghrib time and on Yom Arafah, right? So that's still family separate and all that. How do you coordinate going towards the Muzdalifah?
So the group leader will call everybody together. And most likely, the tents will be so close that after Arafah is done, sometimes they lift the tent walls. And so now everybody's closer together as one.
So during all this time, when we go from the entire duration in Saudi, we can pray Qasr.
Yes.
On our,
when you're praying alone.
On our own.
Yes.
Except for the Hajj prayer.
When you're praying with Haram. Yes.
So if you're following an Imam will pray the regular and if you're praying with your camp or your then you pray Qasr.
Absolutely.
Is there any we have to spend this much time in Muzdalifah?
I'll go over the wukuf time. The wukuf time of Muzdalifah is after Fajr until sunrise. Once again, it's not mandatory. Sometimes when I went, my train was ready before Fajr, and I had to leave. It is what it is. It's not mandatory. According to Imam Shafi, it is mandatory. In that case, just spending a little bit of time after Fajr is what is sufficient. This is what Muzdalifah looks like, completely empty, which you will not see. This is a night, just people everywhere. This gives you a better image of what Muzdalifah looks like. No tents.
It's all VIP.
Everybody's VIP in the open sky, wherever you get spot. If you have a backpack, if you have a sleeping bag, you put it. If you have a sheet, you put it. If you have an extra Ihram.
This is the night of night.
Yes, the night of the night.
Even the neighbors of Shaitan are.
Everybody is here. You will, unfortunately, you will inhale a lot of fumes from buses and stuff. I would say the bathroom situation is tough here. So ideally, you do not want to go bathroom. If you can get it done beforehand, as soon as you get in, before everybody else comes, that's it. Right. The pebbles. This night is when you need to collect your pebbles in Muzdalifah. The size of the pebble should be the size of a chickpea. Small, this way. Nothing massive, nothing big. It can't be something that you can break. So if you push on it, it should collapse. You will need ideally 49. However, if you stay the 13th, then you need 21 more. On the first day, you will only use 7 stones on the big shaitan. On the second day, 7 on each 21. Third day, 7 on each 21. If you stay past Maghrib on the 12th, and that will be in some cases, and I'll tell you what those cases are, then you need 21 for the 13th.
Stay there.
In Mina.
But won't we be part of the group and there's a standard movement that we follow?
The whole group will stay. Now, why would they stay? If your group goes to Medina first, like I will be going, after Makkah, most likely you may not have a hotel somewhere. So what that means is, so if you are in the Azizia package, or if you're in something like that, where you don't have a hotel in Makkah, they have you stay in Mina on the 13th, because the flights out haven't opened up yet. The flights out open on the 14th or 15th. Azizia, you can go to your Azizia hotel. You don't need to. Don't worry about the 13th.
Because of the logistics, you have
Logistics. Sometimes you will have.
Hajj is specific dates. You have to follow that route of Hajj.
Yes.
You can't stay beyond, but because of the restrictions, you're staying there.
Yeah. Or let's say you
That's an
have.
optional thing then, right?
Let's say if you have Azizia, but you decide that no, I want to do this one, and I want to stay the 13th, then that's possible. In that case, you need 70 stones. I would recommend go ahead and collecting 70 stones as is. Get a water bottle, one of those water bottles, find stones, give us. You don't need to give it a wash. I like to give it a wash. Why? There may be some sort of impurity on there. Put in the stones, put in the bag, close it. Done. Right? So 70 stones. This is kind of over there what the stones look like. It's the size of a chickpea. Somehow Muzdalifah always has stones. I'm guessing they.
I heard that Saudi government throws stone before Hajj.
Yeah.
People can.
They recycle, right?
They recycle.
There is no religious significance of collecting stone in Muzdalifah, but that's the easiest place where you find stones. So that's why it is.
Shaitan can hold those stones.
Now, we talked about the wukuf of Muzdalifah before, so I'm going to go over this slide. A couple of minutes before sunrise, a person should leave Muzdalifah. So sunrise is when the wukuf ends, and then now they go back to Mina. This leads us to the busiest day entering into Medina. Now,
repeat again, the one.
The 10th, you now come into the 10th of Zulhijjah. This is going to be the busiest day, right? So the Mu'asim camps, which we have been talking about quite a bit, it is roughly 4 kilometers away from Jamal. So an hour and a half walk. Again, keep that in mind. Which means, if you remember the stampede that happened in, I think it was 15, it was on this walk to Jamal. It's an hour and a half walk. A group was coming from here, a group was coming from there. Huge. May Allah forgive them and forgive their sins. It's crazy stampede. So what I would recommend is once the time starts, don't go. Everybody's gonna try to go at that time. It's okay. You're in your tent, you're in Mina, relax, have breakfast, take a nap. After some time, then go. Once it cools down a little bit, because the time starts and it's gonna be really hot at that time. Once it cools down, then go and do your Jamarat. I prefer on Asr time. Yeah. Asr or maybe even close to Maghrib.
But you can do it till
You can do it. There's time, right? And this is it will come up at what time we have. Now, on this day, there are 4 acts that need to be done, and we talked about this before. The 4 acts that need to be done is Rami, and this is going to be done each day. Sacrifice of the animal, cutting of the hair, and Tawaf Ziyarah. Tawaf Ziyarah we said that it can be done afterwards as well, but it has to be done. This is one of the pillars of Hajj, right? But the Rami, that is mandatory. It has to be done on that day. The sacrifice of the haircut. The haircut will only happen once. The haircut will happen. Sorry, you can cut your hair and then go for Tawaf Ziyarah, right? And then in that case, you will do Tawaf Ziyarah in regular clothes, which means on the top floor, not on the bottom floor. You're not Ihram.
So, sorry, on the day of Muzdalifah, or the night of 9, right? So you're staying in Muzdalifah, but when you get out of Muzdalifah, you go back to Mina.
Before Fajr. No, it should be your wukuf starts after Fajr. So after Fajr, you stay there for a little bit and then you go. Yeah.
You pray in Muzdalifah.
You pray Fajr. You pray Fajr in Muzdalifah. Once the sun comes out, then you head to Mina.
Last time you can see the clock tower, so they have the Fajr thing.
The lights? Yeah. I mean, it depends on how far and where you're located. Muzdalifah is relatively close to Mina. A few times I've walked from Muzdalifah to Mina and it wasn't that bad.
Is it mandatory to change remove the ihram after Jamaat? You can directly go and do the.
You can do Tawaf Ziyarah in Ihram. You don't need to. Yeah, but you can. But I would recommend that you do it that way. You can't be penalized. So once you leave the state of Ihram at this point, everything is permissible except for intimate relationship with your spouse. For that, Tawaf Ziyarah has to be done. Once Tawaf Ziyarah is done, then everything is permissible. So if you were to go in the state of Ihram and go do Tawaf Ziyarah, you will still be, you still be in Ihram, which means you could possibly get penalized for something.
What is recommended? Is it better to?
I exit the state of Ihram the moment I can.
Why I'm asking is like there is a 4 kilometer. You have to come back to to the Muslim camp. It's a 4 kilometer walk again. Rather 4 kilometer walk is like to Makkah, right?
So number one, you won't walk it to Makkah. There were usually buses and stuff like that. Now, and if you're in the Mu'aysim camp, then most likely you have Azizia, which means that you would go to Azizia and exit the state of Ihram. Or there will be Barbers around and you can exit your Ihram there as well. So that's the option. You're right. Going back to Mu'aysim camp may be difficult, but some groups will make you go back. Why? Because the bus that will take you to Makkah will be from there. So that's why they'll have you go back. Sorry? Please go with your group. Do not go alone. And for a few reasons. Your group will provide you a ride. If you try to get a taxi on that day, they will charge you through your nose. Hundreds of dollars for a 20-30 minute ride. Hundreds of dollars. Right. Yes.
Is it mandatory for women to do the animal sacrifice?
You have to pay for it. And so nobody sacrifices their animals themselves. The Saudi government does not allow it. Mu'aysim actually means a slaughterhouse. Because the slaughterhouse is in that area. And they slaughter all the animals.
So I think she asked if it's mandatory. So I think as a part of Hajj, everyone.
Yes, unless if you're doing ifrad. If you're doing ifrad, then you don't have to pay for the sacrifice. This is what Jamarat looks like. They have it very nicely. Let me make sure. They have it very nicely structured. You don't get to choose which floor you want to pelt on. Based off of where you're coming from, if you're in the American tent, it will automatically take you to the 3rd floor. If you're in so-and-so tent, it will automatically take you somewhere else. The first day, the first 2 shaitans will be closed off, so you can't accidentally pelt the wrong one. Right? Nobody will be there. Everybody will be in the last one. You will go to the last one, and you will pelt there. There is a dua. Allahumma rajman lish-shaytan wa lidar ar-Rahman. Bismillahi, in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to disgrace shaitan and to please Allah, and you pelt the shaitan. You can possibly get close, depending on when you go. You can get close to the shaitan and pelt from there. Now, when you throw, let's say you don't hit the wall, because there's a lot of people, something happens, as long as it goes inside of this is an area view of the Jamarat. As long as it goes inside that circle and goes down, that's sufficient. If it bounces out, then you have to throw another one. You cannot pick one off the ground and use that because maybe that one is bounced off as well. A used one you cannot use a used stone.
So I'm sure the people from the behind here also everybody's throwing. What is very likely that you will get. They may think that you're shut down.
That's why they said not being near water.
I think my wife threw a few at me for that same reason.
So is it okay to take extra with you?
Yes, absolutely. Take a few, but don't take it back. Don't bring it back to Frisco. This is what Jamarat used to look like. It was before just one pillar back in the day. Now it's a huge structure and it's a massive wall. Anywhere on the wall you can pelt, and it's sufficient.
How many hours do you think we need on the day of? First day.
It depends on where you're coming from. I would say at least 3 to 4 hours.
3 to 4 hours.
Because if you're coming from Waisim, it's an hour and a half walk. It's the Jamarat. It's then going back down and then an hour and a half walk back. And then if you cut your hair somewhere along the way, whatever the group leads you to do.
So in Muzdalifah, like, are they going to be camp site in Muzdalifah where
Yes.
they will stay, or is it going to be anywhere?
No, campus site. So they'll have numbers, and that's where they will drop you off. And the next day they will come there and pick you up and take you to the bus, and they'll take you to the train station. But it's assigned.
So we are going to walk from Muzdalifah to Jamara, or going
No,
to bus?
bus. So they'll drop you off in your camp, then they'll pick you up from your camp, take you on the bus, and the bus will take you to Muzdalifah. Right, so this is right here, pelting. Some rules about the pelting. Pelting is wajib, it's mandatory. Women and men must pelt. The sunnah is to read the dua and say Allahu as you pelt. If for some reason, so as long as a pebble lands within the enclosure, regardless if it hits the pillar or not, that's fine. Do not stop and make dua after the last shaitan. On the first day, you won't. After last shaitan, you do not stop and make dua. After the first 2 and the third day, you will. If you cannot help for any reason, you can assign somebody else to help on your behalf. Let's say you fall sick, right? And then you can give somebody your stone, and that person can help on your behalf, but you should try to help yourself. You will throw one at a time, not all at once. It is dislike to throw anything else. Don't throw anything else at shaitan. Don't take a slingshot. Don't throw chappal or a wheelchair at shaitan. Before sunrise, it's makruh. Sunrise to midday is sunnah. Sunnah midday to sunset is permissible. After sunset, it's makruh again. After maghrib, it's makruh, but scholars say it's permissible because of the amount of crowds that there is. The scholars say, hey, you can do it at night. It's okay because of the crowd control. Bearing in mind that there will be millions of people there with you that will be doing the same thing. So that's why pelting on that day, that's the timings for pelting. Just follow your group. Don't go alone. Please, that's one of the pro tips I have. Whatever your group is doing, go with your group, stay with your leader. You're most likely to become a guide. When I went through the process of becoming a guide this year in Hajj, I had to put in how many years of Hajj I've done as myself and as a group leader, and then they say, okay, yes, you're approved to be a guide. But when I told them I'd done 10 years of Hajj as a group leader, they said, okay, yes, you're worthy of being a guide. So the people that are leading you, they have the knowledge, so please stay with them. On the 10th of Hijjah, you only pelt the biggest. On the 2nd, 3rd, and possibly 4th day, you will pelt all 3. And after the 1st and 2nd, the small ones, you will stop for a dua. So you pelt the small one, stop for a dua, move to the side, stop for a dua, go to the 2nd one, pelt, stop for dua. The 3rd one, after the large one, there's no dua. Right? Whatever dua you like. Right. Now this is sacrificing about the animal. Again, you pay your money and that's it. You don't need to worry about anything else. Like we said, the order is no longer applicable, so you just need to pay the money. Now after this, you cut your hair, and everything at this point, once you cut your hair, you're allowed to do except for intimacy, and that will only be done. That will only be permissible after Tawaf ziyarah.
So Tawaf is after you slaughter, or you can do
The order doesn't matter, but after you pelt. After you pelt, yeah. So you have to pelt. Once you pelt, then you can go and do halaq or qasab, and then leave the state of Ihram. For women, again, go back to your tent.
The one we is supposed to be facing cover, right?
Yes.
So some kind of a sign denote.
Well, it's usually shaitan and towards the side. You'll see everybody doing it in that direction. There'll be groups doing that direction. There'll be cops all over the place. There'll be army all over the place. But let's say if you're outside, you'll see the clock tower in that direction. You know that that's where. Yes. Same examples.
Yeah, quick clarification. You said halal shape of hair
Yes.
needs to be done after the Qurbani, right? After the
Qurbani, that order is no longer applicable.
no longer, because I was told that yeah, you have to wait for the.
There are, again, it was, but now there's basically no, it's next to impossible to find out when your animal sacrifice.
So Talbiya, you said, is supposed to stop Talbiya at some point and then start.
So Talbiya, once you throw the first pebble, then you stop.
But before, like during those like 5 or 6 days of Hajj, then we start.
So when you start your Umrah, in your Umrah, that's when you stop. Then when you start again for Hajj, you start until you throw your first pebble. When you throw your first pebble, then Talbiya stops.
So no Talbiya in Tawaf Ziyarah as well?
No, no Talbiya.
Until then, Muzdalifah, Mina, Arafah, Talbiya
Yes.
will continue.
Yes.
You said this is going to be done in second floor, Tawaf Ziyarah, or
If you're not in Ihram yet.
if you are not, no, but Tawaf Ziyarah will be without Ihram, right?
Most likely. Most likely.
We can't do it on the ground floor.
They won't allow. Women can.
Without Ihram, they don't let you enter to the Makkah.
Yeah. After COVID, since COVID, they have to. You have to put on your Ihram.
But I thought that's the one day that you can't go in without the Ihram. For
Maybe they may allow. I don't know. Maybe they've changed it, but from what I know, no. But it could be for Hajj after COVID. They're allowed.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Possibly. I haven't done Hajj after COVID. Maybe they allow for this reason.
Is this also Tawaf
Ifada. Tawaf Ifada and Tawaf Ziyarah.
Mubeen, my question.
Yes.
After pelting the stones for the big shaitan, right? We can perform Tawaf Ziyarah.
Yes.
That's
But
yeah.
Okay. Tawaf Ziyarah is mandatory. It's one of the pillars of Hajj. It can be done on the 10th, 11th, or 12th. Now, why would somebody do on the 12th? For a few reasons. Number one, let's say, for example, crowd. Number two, maybe she's not period. She's still in a state of impurity, so now you have to extend it. If it goes past the 12th, then some scholars say that she would do tawaf in impurity and she would have to do a sacrifice for doing tawaf in impurity. Right. It is preferable to perform Tawaf Ziyarah after Halaq. We talked about that. Until Tawaf Ziyarah is not performed, a person cannot be intimate with their spouse. We talked about that as well. Every element of Hajj can be performed in the person's, in the state of impurity, except for Tawaf. You can be in Mina, Arafah, Muzdalifah, pelting, all that will be done in the state of impurity. It can be done in the state of impurity, but Tawaf has to be done in the state of purity. We already talked about this as well. Sa'i is wajib, part of Hajj. So in this Sa'i, this is the only time you do Sa'i in regular clothes, is for Tawaf, a Sa'i of Hajj. Besides this, whenever you do Sa'i, it will be in Ihram. So there's no Sa'i in regular clothes except for Sa'i of Hajj. Right? The preferred time of Sa'i is after Tawaf Ziyarah. If a person performs Sa'i after Tawaf Ziyarah, right, he will perform Ramal in the first round, and Sa'i can be performed in any Hajj days. If they need to do on the 10th, 11th, 12th, that's fine as well. So this is no. So once again, once you pelt, you don't need to wait for your sacrifice. You exit the state of Ihram. You cut your hair, you exit the state of Ihram. Then, if you want to do it the same day, you can try to do the same day, or the next day, or the next day after. You are outside of Ihram, but you can't have intimate relationship with your spouse. Then you perform Tawaf Ziyarah. After this, you have to perform a Sa'i. This now takes you completely out of the state of Ihram. Right?
So Sa'i, we can do Tawaf Ziyarah on 10th and then Sa'i another day as well, right? It doesn't have to be done.
It doesn't have to be done the same day.
Sorry, just one more thing. So if you're pelting and on the same day after you're done, you go to your Tawaf Ziyarah. Of course, after cutting your hair, you go to your Tawaf Ziyarah. then do you actually come back to the same place, or you go to your hotel, and then the next day you will come back for?
You have, it's prefer sunnah, according to Imam Hanifa, sunnah that you spend the night in Mina. According to Imam Shafi, you have to spend the night in Mina. So you can, let's say you have a hotel there, you can go to a hotel, you can go to Azizia, and then at night time you have to come back.
Okay, so after Ziyarah, you're coming back to Mina for the next 2 or 3 days.
Yes, and then each day you have to help there.
So on nights of 10, 11, inshallah, you have to be.
According to Imam Shafi, yes. According to Imam Hanifa, it's not necessary, that's sunnah.
Do we, for the Waqt Ziyarah, do we have to pray 2 rakats after?
Yes, after every tawaf, after any tawaf they do, whether it's a tawaf of Hajj, Umrah, or just any tawaf, there are 2 rakats that are after that. Yes. Anytime throughout the night. So you can get there late, as long as you're there before Fajr Salah, that counts. That's for the
I think I heard that what he's asking is that how much is required to stay? So I said half of the night you are.
That is, again, for Imam Shafi that you're required, it's half of the night. But for Imam Hanifa, where it's sunnah, then it's any portion of the night.
Same for
Muzdalifah, we said it's after Fajr. After Fajr, ideally until sunrise.
Just half an hour. Night time, you don't need to.
No. It's that time after Fajr that's the wukuf.
Okay, so in that case, people like they become impatient and they start walking from Arafat to Muzdalifah, right? So it's not needed. It can be.
Yeah, there's no rush to get to Muzdalifah. Why would you want to rush? You have bathrooms in Arafat. You have cushions in Arafat. Aram, so it's fine.
Muzdalifah historically the reason is just the transit, right?
Yeah, transition. Okay. Rami on all 3 days is wajib. 11, 12, and 13, we talked about this before. Smallest to biggest, that's done. The time of pelting, we talked about this as well. Rami is not permissible before Zawal. The timing of Rami starts after Zawal on the 11th and 12th. On the 10th, you can before Zawal because you leave Muzdalifah after Fajr. So most likely when you get to Mina, it will be before Zawal. You can pelt right away, or if you need to pelt, after you're in Al-Muwaisim, you gotta walk from there. After is fine as well.
What is Zawal, the 11 a.m. time?
Yes, 11 a.m. When the sun is directly above our heads. Right. 12.
In these 3 days, all we do is just we throw a stone and stay in our tent.
That's it. Pray your salahs in your tents. Read Quran. If you have time and you want to go to the Haram, you can. You pelt, and let's say you pelt, and from there you want to catch a taxi and go to the Haram and come back at night. That's permissible. It's all. Taxi? All they require is riyal. Huh? Yes. Arafat tent everywhere you are assigned. There. Most likely. Right, but you will stay in your tent. You won't stay anywhere else because, again, keep in mind that there are millions of people there. So everywhere it's going to be assigned so that they know where you are at and they can pick you up and drop you off there. On the 12th, similar. Once again, all you need to do is pelt. You will not, if you stay after sunrise, if you stay after sunset, then you will have to stay the night and you will pelt on the 13th as well. All right, this is 13th. 13th, if you leave Mina, then 13th doesn't apply to you. You're done. Khalas. The only one thing remains, and that's Tawaf Wida. Right? Tawaf Wida. Now, leaving Mina, we said if you leave before sunset, you're fine. This is all done. Leaving Mina, this is all done. The route, that's done. Back to Makkah. Again, depending on your package, you may go back to Makkah. Depending on your package, they may just send you to Medina, or depending on the package, they'll have you stay in Mina until it's time to go to Jeddah. So again, it's all dependent on the package. Take you to Azizia. Then you're chilling Azizia. Tawaf Wida, it is wajib. Tawaf Wida means before you leave one last tawaf. What can you do after Tawaf Wida? Anything. You can do Tawaf again. Your final Tawaf just becomes Tawaf Wida. There just has to be one final tawaf before you leave. So let's say I do tawaf wida, I make it, this is my tawaf wida, but then I have more time later on, I come and do another tawaf, that becomes my tawaf wida. I don't have, it's not like wida, niklo, get out. That's not necessary. You can.
Tawaf has to be done in wudu.
Yes, tawaf always has to be done with wudu. Sayyid doesn't need to be done with wudu.
We don't need to do Sayyid, right?
No. Only tawaf of ziyarah, there is sayyid, and tawaf of umrah, there is sayyid. Only these two tawafs, there will be sayyid after.
For example, after the work night, if you want to do Umrah, you can do it.
You can. You would have to go outside of miqat, put on your ihram, and then.
We can do it.
Yes. Now, jinayat. Jinayat means the penalties. There are 4 different types of penalties. One is budna. This is major penalty. Inshallah, this is not the case. This is a person has relationships, intimate relationship with their spouse in the state of ihram. Please, hopefully, no one has to do this. Dam is a major penalty. Major penalty if, for example, you break one of the conditions of ihram for an extended period of time. I wear shoes for an extended period of time. I sleep with my face covered for an extended period of time. I take a shower with soap intentionally. Then this would be a dam. A sadaqah, it's the amount of sadaqah, it's a amount equal to sadaqah al-fitr, and that is like, the imam will tell you if you take out a lot of hair, if you take out 1 or 2 hairs, it'll be less than sadaqah, right? If you accidentally cover your face for a little bit and then you move it, sadaqah. If you cover your face for an extended period of time, but it's not a major part of the night, then it'll be a sadaqah. So that's the difference between sadaqah and less than sadaqah. Right, budna, we talked about this. A person has relationships after wuquf in Arafah, before halaq, in the state of ihram, or before tawaf, or if the person performs tawaf ziyarah. Then we talked about this as well. Again, you shave more than a large portion of your head. You cover your face for extended period of time. You perfume your body. You clip your nails, anything like this, or you leave out tawaf wida, or you leave out a wajib of Hajj, not a pillar of Hajj, but a wajib of Hajj. Then you have to pay a budna, a dam. A sadaqah, you cut a small portion. You take out a few hairs. You apply perfume to a small portion of your body, basically the opposite of dam. And then less than sadaqah is even less. If 1 or 2 pieces of hair you take out, you would have to pay a sadaqah. And these penalties have to be paid in Makkah. You can't pay it here in America. Before you come, you have to pay it there. In Makkah. Right. Mistakes in Ihram. And I know this is a bit small. I'll kind of run through it quickly. If you enter into, these are the common mistakes that are made in Ihram. If you enter into miqat outside of, without wearing Ihram, you enter into miqat outside of Ihram, that is a common mistake that happens. If you land in Jeddah and you need to wear Ihram towels, we talked about before, you wear it beforehand. Another mistake, is that people, and this is not just in Hajj, but all over, people focus on pictures too much. I've seen people go to the Rawza of the Prophet like this the whole time, right? Or they're just always about taking pictures. Honestly, all the pictures that we have on the slides, and we have a lot of pictures, they're all from Google. You want pictures? Go on Google. You get everything. The experience of Hajj, you can't get on Google. I'm sure Apple is trying to give you those like 3D glasses that you can experience Hajj, but don't worry about pictures. You may one day go back and look at them, but that's it. Right? So I've seen people taking selfies with the Kaaba or taking selfies with the clock tower. That's one of the mistakes I've seen. If you change your Ihram towels, the second one can't be pre-scented. You can't apply to the perfume to the second one and then wear that one. Right? That's a mistake. And you don't shave your head, your beard. That's obvious. Wear sandals. We talked about this before. Going on to the next slide. I'm going to fly through these next ones. Errors in Ihram, the wrong intention. Make sure you have the right intention. You do acts that you shouldn't do. This includes talking. This includes getting angry. This includes fighting. Errors in Ihram. Mistakes in Tawaf. Tawaf, if a person starts before, we talked about being distracted. you don't complete 7 or 10 rounds, it's a waste. Too crowded during Tawaf, right? You choose your time correctly. We talked about it before. The ideal time is after Isha, making sure that people, the common mistake in Tawaf is that a lot of times people do Tawaf and not have wudu. Make sure you have wudu. A common mistake in Sa'i is leaving out the rounds or doing double the rounds. One, right? Don't do that. You don't need to go all the way around the mountain. We talked about that before. Standing Arafah, mistakes that happen is the wrong timing, or people leave Arafah too early. Again, if your group has to go, then you have to go. Sleeping there, we talked about this too much. Eating too much in Arafah, again, that's a huge no as well. Muzdalifah, not spending the night in Muzdalifah, that you don't collect your stones in Muzdalifah or you leave Muzdalifah early. Jamarat, we talked about this, that people stone at the incorrect time. They use objects that are too big. They use pebbles. Missing the shaitan, we talked about this, that you completely miss the enclosure. Farewell Tawaf, not performing farewell Tawaf is a common mistake. General mistakes, lack of patience. This is a huge one. Patience during Hajj. Everything that can go wrong, it will go wrong. Simple. Everything that possibly can go wrong. Lack of patience, trust me, it tests your patience. Do not neglect your health or your hygiene. Understand that you have to have you have to get sleep in. I see people that go all super Muslim the first few days, and the rest of the time they're super sleepy. They're sick. Pace yourself. Pacing yourself is really important. Do not spend too much time shopping. Yes, I understand that you have to bring stuff back for your children, but the only things that are unique is Zamzam and dates. Everything else you can get off of AliExpress or Amazon. Right? The same thing you can get off AliExpress, Amazon, all come from China. So you don't need to. Do not spend a lot of time shopping there. Right? Always on your phone. Moving away from your group. Make sure you are always with your group. Not having proper ID. Making sure that you have proper ID. So many times I've seen somebody come to me saying that they're lost, but they don't have ID. How can I help you? How can I take you anywhere? So making sure that you have ID, that will be key. We're almost done. Tips and advice. Staying hydrated. We talked about this before. Being patient and tolerant. We talked about this before. Follow your leader's instruction. Your leader says something, make sure you stick to it. Following the laws. Again, the police tells you, yeah, Hajj, move. Follow the laws of phone and battery pack. We talked about. Phone and battery pack, we talked about as well, making sure your phones are always charged. Familiarize yourself with the area. This includes, once you get to your tent, go around and take pictures around the tent. When you get to Medina, go around, take pictures where you're at. When you get there, you take a picture of the time, where the timing of Salah is, so you know what time the Salah will happen, where the women's entrance are. Take pictures that's fine. Give yourself time to get to places. Understanding that when you go and leave your hotel, you won't get to the Haram in 2 minutes. It will take time. If you're moving in large groups, elevators take a lot of time. You'll see this. You wait and wait for elevators to come, and then there's 20 people or 50 people waiting for that same elevator. When you're moving in large groups, moving in your whole group, that will take a lot of time as well. That finishes Hajj.
So I just want to say one thing, that I have myself, I'm going for Hajj. I'm Nasir. I have attended like Yasir Qadi's program, and then Umar Suleiman and other. And Sheikh Mubeen, this workshop is by far the best. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh Mubeen. I mean, conducting this workshop for 3-4 hours is not easy, and no other workshop in Dallas area, I mean, I can say, or maybe around US, you'll find it that knowledge. So, Jazakallah, we have to stop so you can ask questions one-on-one to Sheikh Mubeen, because there's another program in this hall that has to start, unfortunately. So Jazakallah for everybody for attending. If brothers can do a favor and pick up their chairs and put it, so put it on the back side, take it to the.
You know where?
Oh, okay.
My name is Assa. Whoever goes there.
Brother, leave it, leave it, leave it. One last thing. If I can have the brothers just for 2 minutes, I will wear Ihram. Ihram. 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I'll quickly show how to wear Ihram. That way it's easier for you guys. Okay.
And make sure that only use it to connect with your wife. Don't call.
For the bottom part. The bottom part is actually easier. The top part's the hard. Number one, make sure you get a good stance. If you pull yourself off like this, then walking will be difficult. So get a good stance. Right side, go all the way here. Left side around. If you have a belt, wear a belt. Fold, fold. Do not just fold from the front. Fold all the way around the back as well. This way, if I sit down, this opens up. So if you have a belt, once again, so get a good stance. Around this way, belt, and then cover the belt all the way around. One mistake that people usually have is when your Ihram becomes a mini skirt. Okay. So make sure it's covering a good part. The top part is a tricky part. And the reason for that is what you commonly see people do is wear Ihram like this. This is what you commonly see. The issue with this is when I go into ruku, now everything's exposed, right? Now, the bottom part, the second thing is make sure your navel's covered, your belly button, right? So don't have it on your waist, have it on your belly button. This is how I wear my top part. I take one side in, I tuck it in here. And this side, I have it over, or I tuck it in on this side. Right? If I don't tuck it in, I go into ruku, come back, because this is going top down. If I go bottom up, it will fall this way. If I go top down, stand up, I'm still covered. If you want, as well. If you need to wear buttons, safety pins, that's permissible too.
There is one place they have to keep your shoulder open like Arafat.
During Tawaf.
Right? But that will be in the Umrah, because in Hajj you will be Haram and Tawaf and regular.
So in that way, you tuck this in on this side. This tuck it in here. You tuck it in this way. You can tuck it in there. But this right shoulder needs to be exposed. Okay?
So you even use belt.
Yeah, you should use both. You should actually. Yes. I wouldn't use like dress pant belt, but a belt that has like a pocket or something like that. So just stay white.
Mabruk, inshallah, see you guys there.
The way that you were this was closed, the same as
मैं भी खुल बात हाँ हटा देता आपको भी सवाब जाएगा सेशन
I would say do with your philosophy about the truth 4 or 5. You don't need to do it
You're leaving us. Appreciate all you're doing too much.
शेख मुबीन क्या बहुत मिस कर अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मैं भी कभी तो दो मैंने अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह कहा सुना माफ नहीं
So one question I have is, I've done this time my intention is to perform for my mother who passed away. Is there any special?
The difference is when you go into the state of Ihram, you will just say, Allahumma, I'm doing Umrah on behalf of so and so person. That's it. That when you say I'm doing Umrah, instead I'm doing Umrah, you add in on behalf of so and so.
Yeah, okay.
Sheikh Salah.